Well, good evening, everybody. It's Saturday night, and welcome to On the Hunt here on the Cryptid Huntress channel. I'm Jessica Jones. I'm the Cryptid Huntress, and I'm super glad that all you guys are here tonight. Gosh, we have a weird topic tonight, but it so connects the dots to so many things that we've been talking about lately. We're talking about weaponized dolphins. Okay, we're talking about the telepathy is what they call it of dolphins. We're going to talk about the history of animals being weaponized, and you name it, we're going there tonight. Of course, I do have author E.D. Testerman here in the studio tonight with me once again on a great Saturday night show. We're going on the hunt for weaponized dolphins and more tonight. Are they communicating with UFOs for our government? That's my question. The USOs that are underwater, you know, they are trained to go do crash retrievals and pick up objects and do like retrievals of any kind of crashes and things like that. And even search for landmines, all that kind of stuff. So how deep does this rabbit hole go? We're going to talk about it tonight. It's a deep one. We're going to take a deep dive. And so go get your popcorn. You might want to pour a drink for this one. Okay, y'all. You might want to, because this is fantastic. It is incredible. The information that we were talking about even before the show tonight is going to blow your socks off, y'all. And get ready. I mean, some people even think that dolphins could be descended from the Atlanteans. Okay, and so we're going to go there a little bit tonight as well. Probably be a little towards the end, because that's one of the more out there theories, but who says it's not real? Okay, so yeah, so let's do this tonight, y'all. You know, dolphins are smart. If you guys have ever done any kind of research on dolphins, they are one of the smartest animals on the planet. And yes, they could probably save your life one day, but they're also savage and they don't give a crap. Okay, so that's why they make such good super soldiers for our military. And yes, our military utilizes dolphins probably as remote viewers. Just kidding. I don't know. Maybe so. I do have someone who is the Marines. He's a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine, right? And so I've got, of course, Eric's here. And so we're going to see what his opinion is on all of this. And we both have some really good information for you guys tonight. And so we're going down that rabbit hole. If you guys would like to follow along with all of my shows and go through all the archives of what I've got to present to you guys, all my shows, go to thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find all of my social media links and all that kind of stuff there, and a list of all the events where I will be, including the Georgia Bigfoot Conference. That's coming up soon, March the 22nd. That's in a couple weeks, about 3 weeks, I guess, up in North Georgia in Demarest at the Piedmont University. So you guys come see me there. There's going to be a huge list of fantastic speakers, Bigfoot field researchers, and more. So please come see me at the 2025 Georgia Bigfoot Conference, March 22nd. Also, I do have a shop, and I also have a Patreon if you guys would like to support my work. Look up War Woman Goods on Etsy. You can find my shop there, and my Patreon, of course, is the Cryptid Huntress. So shout out to all my members and everybody who's been supporting me. You guys are the best. Okay, and also I do have a channel membership as well. It's called the Cryptid Huntress, the Hunt Club. Okay, so if you guys want to join that, I do put exclusive content out there for my members. And so, yeah, I try to do that every week. So y'all check that out as well. Okay. All right. Well, let's get to this wild and crazy show that we've got for you guys tonight. I can't wait to actually talk about this. You know, it's kind of cool taking a break from Dogman and Bigfoot for a Saturday night. I know we talk about that. We talk about Dogman and Bigfoot a lot, but I have a lot of experiences just on my own. We could talk for a year just on my experiences out in the field, and with Eric as well. I'm sure he's got plenty of experiences. I know he does. He talked about it on his show today, with William Nighthawk, and on his show tonight. He after our show last Saturday, he picked up some really interesting recordings out on his property, a potential Sasquatch. So maybe he'll kind of talk about that a little bit tonight. He has a show coming up tomorrow night where he's going to really get into that as well. And so, like I said, we could talk all day about Bigfoot and Dogman. So we're switching it up tonight. We're going to be talking about weaponized sea life. Okay. So we're going on the hunt tonight to explore the worldwide weaponization of dolphins and their non-human intelligence. Is it actually illegal to communicate with dolphins in the wild? Have y'all heard that? I've heard that. And I've got some documents to show you guys tonight all about it. Do they hold the key to ancient secrets and hidden knowledge? That's what I'd like to know. Well, we have E.D. Testerman here, and he is a disabled veteran and a father of two amazing daughters. He's got several books that he's written, and he does have a Norwegian background. He incorporates that into all of his works. He loves sci-fi and mythology, and you guys can find him on his YouTube channel. That's The Bizarre and the Unknown. He has live shows throughout the week on YouTube and Rumble, and also he does shows with our good friend William Nighthawk over on Nighthawk High Strangeness. You can catch them on the weekends at Saturday Morning Brew. It's a great show. Please help me welcome to the show our good friend E.D. Testerman, and sometimes he has a dog on his shoulder. Here's Eric. What's up, Eric?
Not bad. Yeah, he's on his pillow sleeping at the moment, and the other one's at my feet as usual. Thank you, the girl. Thanks for having me, man. It's always a blast coming on here with you. We had a great time Saturday too.
Yeah, we did.
And Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Sunday,
did.
Yeah.
We did. Well, I came on your show on Sunday. We really had a great show over there too. We did. We talked about shapeshifters.
Dude, yeah. I mean, it was just amazing what was going on. We had so much stuff happen. And of course, yeah, I mean, what happened to me the other night, last weekend, man, there's only been one other time I've been scared on my property. And what happened to me that Saturday night, man, ooh, that was, yeah.
Tell me what happened. What happened? Because right after we got off of our show, you went outside, you started hearing you heard a howl, and then you heard other stuff. Tell us what you heard.
I went out back to grab some firewood out of the fire shed. And as I'm walking back to the house, to the north of me was this really loud freaking wolf owl. I mean, it was the loudest one I've heard. Now, the last couple, well, I'll get more into it tomorrow, but this ain't the first time I've heard it, but it's the first time I've heard it being outside. And then a split second later, to the southeast of me, really close to where I was a crap ton of coyotes going nuts. So you get this wolf owl followed by a buttload of coyotes at the same time, and all within fairly close to me. I'm like, man, I'm out here with nothing. And I know people say, oh, I never go to the woods out armed. Man, I've lived out here 32 years. I've never had to walk around here armed. But that's why I don't all the time. So, I mean, I literally was caught with my pants down because I was like, I'm boned. We got these things on both sides of me, and there ain't nowhere for me to go. So I'm telling you, I was texting you, DA, and William. DA's like, get your parabolic mic out. I was like, I'm trying, but I can't get it, And come find out my battery was dead. My hands were still shaking from this. So I was trying to get that done, get the battery placed. By the time I finally got it out there to try to capture this wolf owl, I ended up capturing a bunch of other stuff. And honestly, it brought a tear to my face because I've got receipts to back up everything I've claimed,
Yeah, you do.
And
that's wild. I mean, you were pretty excited when you were messaging me back, and I know it was getting kind of late, and I was trying to stay awake. I was trying, but I haven't heard all of what happened, so that's really cool. I guess we're gonna have to wait to get the full deal tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, that'll be tomorrow's show. I'm going to have a special guest, Ryan Paul Tremblay, on with me. Mm-hmm. We originally was going to talk about Gugwe, But after this, yeah, that's changed. That's we're
That's
going. I mean,
great.
because I've caught a. We'll just put it this way: three very odd things that back up a lot of what I talked about that happens out here.
Okay.
So it's
That's
it's good.
fantastic. So yeah, you have a lot of activity on your around your house. I mean, you are a magnet to high strangeness, I'm pretty sure. I can tell.
I don't know
You're
if
like
that's a
me.
good thing or a bad thing.
You're like me. You know what it is? You're on that frequency, and it's just like me. Like I'm on that frequency. You've had experiences most of your life, and so have I. We're just magnets to it, and there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing. It's neither good nor bad, in my opinion. To me, it's good because I'm the cryptid huntress, so I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you probably enjoy it too. But when it gets to be
Oh
on your back porch, I don't know about that
yeah.
backyard.
Well, I mean, I get these things tapping on my window. So I mean, for me,
Ooh,
I've I've lived with these things literally there for 32 years. I've lived with
oh
these.
God.
And up until a couple years ago, when sadly my mom went to another realm and I bought the property and dad moved out, is
Yeah.
whenever we started getting it all year round versus used to be mid to late fall to early to mid spring. And now I'm getting them all year round. So it's been fun.
Oh my gosh. Do they ever bug your daughters, your kids? Or do they
They
scare
haven't, but
them?
we've had some supernatural stuff that has. Last year
Okay.
was the big one. Of course, it wasn't messing with them; it was messing with me too.
Okay.
So,
Well, y'all just stay safe, man. Keep your heads on swivels or your head on a swivel. Okay. And I know y'all are cool. You're more than equipped
mm,
to handle any kind of situation if it gets sticky over there. But
unless it's
nonetheless, now you got the
supernatural,
proof. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Oh man,
awesome.
I think you guys will like what I captured.
Okay. Well,
So,
sweet. Well, you guys be sure to tune in over at the Bazaar and the Unknown tomorrow night. And yeah, I'll be there too for sure, no doubt. Now, I know tonight I hit you up today and I was like, "Hey,
mhm,
what about these dolphins?" I really enjoy having someone who has had extensive military service to come on to
mhm.
talk about these weaponized animals. Okay,
Oh
weaponized
yeah.
cryptids. Last week we talked about weaponized cryptids and
Hmm.
the super soldier program, alleged super soldier programs. Now, I it's pretty obvious they've got all sorts of super soldier programs, right? But
Oh
the cryptid
yeah.
ones, they don't talk about. Now, we do know through all sorts of documents and papers and articles, there are weaponized sea animals, okay, that
Mm.
our government has been using since at least the 1950s, at
Older,
least.
longer than that. That's
Oh
longer than
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just the US military alone, like they admit to using sea lions and dolphins for mine detection and harbor defense is what they call it
Mhm.
back in the 1950s. Now, there's a lot of controversy behind some of this too when it comes up to like the beluga whales they've been using and the dolphins, and of course, animal rights activists have a big problem with it, of course.
They've
But
tried with sharks too.
sharks too, I would not doubt it. I'm sure can anything be weaponized, Eric? Because it seems like it.
Pretty much. I mean, some things are difficult to weaponize, but I mean, it ain't. It doesn't mean that humans ain't going to try. You know. But they're what you've only hit like a little bit of what they've tried with these things. They go way and beyond what you've even talked about on what they're
Hmm.
doing.
Yeah. Kent, what's up, Kent Baxter? He says, my understanding is whales and dolphins may be the oldest life forms on the planet. Who really knows? All
It's
right.
hard to
Well,
say. They used to walk on land at one point in time. That's why if you look at the bones of the fins of them, they look like a hen. They used to be a land mammal that eventually went to the ocean. But if you actually look at the skeletal structures of whales and dolphins, their flipper bones look like hands.
they do. I don't have a picture of the bone structure. I wish I had thought of that before the show. I would have put it up. But they're the cutest little things. They talk. They have a movie. They remember that TV show Flipper. that was that was one of my favorite movie shows as a kid. It's from the what was that, the 60s or something? I don't even know. It was old. I was watching it back in the 80s. Okay. But super smart animals. And some people say they are, I guess the word is not telepathic. I've always said they were telepathic. I was reading today, they are telepathic, which is a little bit different. Have you heard of that term before?
No, I've always heard it as telepathic, but I'm kind of interested in it. And I've actually, if you want, I can share a screen. I've got a picture of a whale's bone right here.
Okay, absolutely. Well, I'll give you a definition of what telepathic is. Okay, so they communicate by telepathy, is what it's called. It says that the sounds they make are mainly for echolocation and healing, with some conveying standard simple messages. Now, of course, telepathy is defined as a communication of thought and ideas by means not known or explained scientifically. But the real way they communicate, especially with humans, is telepathy, a combination of mental messages and empathy, or what it feels like to walk in someone else's shoes. Isn't that wild? Okay, let's pull this up. Oh, look, it looks like they have hands.
Yep.
Okay, they look like they have hands, so they can get a grip. Looks like they can grip things.
Yeah,
that is really weird.
I remember that from years ago. This might be a better. Right there, you go.
Wow!
They just eventually went to the ocean.
I did not realize that they were land animals. I had no idea. I learn something new every day, including with this. Wow. Well,
it's an interesting creature.
It is, and the fact that our militaries have been using these things for decades, at least decades, is pretty fantastic. Now, using animals in our, weaponized animals, I guess you could say, goes way back. 600 BC, okay, pigeons were being used. Right, pigeons were used as communications devices. Basically, they'd roll up a little note and you'd stick it on their leg or on their foot, and they'd fly off and were comms basically during wartime and stuff. I guess
they were also used as a guidance system for rockets.
Yeah, guidance system for rockets.
Yep.
When was
the
that?
British
That is
invented
wild.
a rocket during World War II that they used pigeons and I think even chickens at one time to target a rocket on a location.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I love that because I didn't know that at all. Back around 400 BC, elephants were being used. Okay. And I think they were being used in India to I guess maybe stomp out the competition. I guess they were weaponized though, probably to take people out and go destroy stuff, I would assume. And elephants are really smart as well. And of course, horses, camels, pigs have been used as well. Dogs. I don't know how pigs were used. Dogs were used for sure. And around the 20th century is when our military admittedly started using sea life, sea animals. And I think the most prominent was, like you mentioned to me today, was during the Cold War when Russia started utilizing, I think they were using seals and dolphins. And of course, the United States had to compete with that. So they started doing it, right?
Yeah. So actually, I mean, this all dates back to World War II. A lot of stuff dates back to World War II, but the Cold War is when it really, really kicked off. They were used for spying. They were used to take out targets. They would plant bombs on them. They would plant bombs on them and have them go attack ships and stuff like that. That's awesome.
I had to. I found that online and I thought it'd be perfect. They're equipped with, ARs and stuff like that. Yes. And their sickle, or what do you call that thing? So, yes.
Yeah.
The Soviet Dolphins. Yeah.
The hammer and sickle. Yep.
Hammer and sickle. That's it. Right.
Yep. But yeah, they were used for all types of stuff. Like they just found a well in Norway that had a harness on it that used to have a camera mounted to it. And this well only reacted with humans. I mean, and it was in the waters of Norway that it was the wrong time of year for it to be there. And then the time of year when the whales, its type of whales came through, it wouldn't interact with them. Well, they finally got the harness off of this whale, and come find out it came from Russia. The Russians were using this whale to spy on them. And that's a reason.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So imagine being, just hanging out in your boat or whatever, and you're just like, oh my gosh, there's a dolphin. How sweet. Hey, little dolphin, and the dolphin comes up to your boat and it like shoots a laser beam at you and you die. I mean, like
Actually,
that's literally what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean they were, but they were also planting bombs on them, and they'd have them swim up to a boat, and then they would detonate. They had a little pressure switch on their nose, and they would come up and bump the ship with their nose, and boom, take out a target.
Oh my gosh! Well, I was reading somewhere about how through the different wars, I think it was in World War II, I think the Germans were using dogs. Of course, the story goes it was the Germans. You don't want it to be the Americans that did it, but Americans probably did it too. But they were using dogs to they were strapping like detonators on them and bombs and things like that. And it didn't work very well because when they would send them out to go try to get up underneath the enemy tanks and stuff, they would come right back to the Americans because they recognized the American tanks. And so they ended up blowing up the American tanks or it was the other way around. Sorry, other way around. It was the Nazis versus Americans. Y'all know what I mean. It was vice versa from what I just said. But they went back to who they recognized and ended up blowing up the friendlies, I guess you could call it. Yeah. So not smart. Not smart. And the fact that they blew up a dog, that makes me mad.
Dogs and bears have been used in wars for hundreds and hundreds of years. I mean, people don't realize a poodle is actually a war dog.
No,
they were used in combat. Yeah. Poodles were actually a war dog. Yeah.
Really?
And then, look at the Norse. The Norse literally raised brown bears and they would guard the homes, or they would take these bears into battle with them. So, yeah, dogs and bears and stuff like that's been used in battles for hundreds of years.
Oh my gosh.
Well, not thousands.
Well, we've talked so much about, and I've talked about this on my show so much about dogmen being used and werewolves being used. They're actually, okay, so we're thinking about these ferocious animals, right? Ferocious things that, and these are cryptids and shapeshifters that have been utilized. But really, it's just like friendly little dolphins are being used. Dogs are being used. Bears. Not that bears are always friendly, but they've been using this stuff forever. And that is admittedly, they've been using these things. You said sharks too.
Wow. Yeah, they tried with sharks one time, but that wasn't very successful. That program didn't last very long.
Oh my gosh. Well, what's up with dolphins though? Okay, so they've used sea lions. Okay, seals have been used. They have also used beluga whales. And we're talking about for the military. I'm talking about only military right now because we're going to get into who else uses these things as well. Okay, it's not just the military. Other factions have been using things like dolphins potentially as well. And a lot of, of course, if you're going to be using animals like this, you have to study them extensively. And there have been plenty of researchers and plenty of scientists who have really put a lot of work into studying dolphins. And there was one gentleman, if I can find his name over here, Dr. Lilly. His last name was Lilly. And he actually, I believe he was dosing these things he went so far as to give them drugs and things like that. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, now that name sounds familiar. Yeah, I've heard about that before. Yeah.
Yes, let's see. I've got his picture right here. I'll pull this up. Unfortunately, he decided to give them some drugs. I'm sure he did a lot of other stuff. He was actually studying the telepathic abilities of dolphins, which is pretty awesome. I'm really big into telepathy and to mind control and psychic abilities and communicating with cryptids. Okay, that's kind of what the angle that our team takes. At least one of my teams, we really take the communication aspect to the max when it comes to remote viewing and telepathy and psychic abilities. But this guy he was a neuroscientist. His name's John Cunningham Lilly, I believe is his name. And but he started dosing these poor dolphins with LSD. and ketamine, particularly the bottlenose dolphins. Now, I think Robin, who's in the chat today, hey, Robin, she said that she had been studying bottlenose dolphins off of, I think it was Del Rey, maybe, over in California. So I'm sorry, Robin, this man gave him LSD. It's terrible. I know. But in, I guess it was around the 1960s, he was doing that. And because he was studying their consciousness. Okay. He wanted to understand the consciousness of the dolphins. And so he was trying to develop a method of communication between man and dolphin. And I don't know if the dolphins understood what was happening or not, even though they are really smart. But yeah, they said that he had like it was terrible. He had like a drug den or something. It was terrible for these dolphins. And back in 1984, I think his project was eventually shut down by other scientists, and NASA pulled out as well. He worked with NASA actually. And in 1972, the Marine Mammal Protection Act prevented him from directly abusing these animals and stuff. And I know I just hit up like the worst side of him. He did a lot of good too. Okay, but I just did want to kind of point that out, that but he was studying the consciousness. Now, Eric, this actually really reminded me when I was doing my deep dive on him today. I started thinking about the people who have been put through programs with our government and our military that I talk about a lot. I have people that come on my shows who have been victims of some of these projects, including the Montauk Project and Project Phoenix and some other projects. They're supposed to be secret super soldier programs. Now, this lines right up with it. He sounds just like one of those scientists that worked with humans and probably still works with humans to this day. If you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, if you're not familiar, go watch Stranger Things, that TV series on Netflix with 11. That is what we're talking about right there with humans. But they even have these programs with dolphins, Eric. Can you believe this?
Oh yeah, I mean, I believe they even tried. See, they used LSD on a lot of things, even humans, but they used them on spiders and all sorts of kind of different things. LSD wasn't originally created for what it's used now. I mean, it was a psychedelic used to. We'll just have to. I put this nicely. There ain't. It was used as a controlling mechanism. I mean, honestly, it was. You that's how you control things or people. So yeah, it's an evil deal. I mean, soldiers were a big part of it too. They was used on soldiers. I mean, people don't realize when you sign that dotted line, you have no free will. You are property of the U.S. government. They do whatever they want to you. Soldiers have been guinea pigs for a long time for the government.
Well, I think that's where those animal rights activists hopped in. And I'm sure this was well after, years after they were doing these projects already. It was probably a little late for a lot of them. And Lord knows, all sorts of dolphins probably perished during these projects and things. But it's just they were working on these super soldier programs. And, I always kind of reference that, going back to the 1920s. With that guy from the Billy Whack Dairy, he was working on human-animal hybrids. And, if that was back in 1920, and we're talking about something that was going on in the 1970s and the 1960s, 1950s even, and think about working on experimentation with the consciousness of a dolphin, of dolphins and sea creatures. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious how smart dolphins are. Okay. And I don't know. I mean, do you think that they could, okay, this is my question for you. Do you think that they could have been working on telepathic type stuff? And I'm only asking this, and I'm bringing this up because we recently have had some whistleblowers that came out. Okay. I know this is kind of segueing and taking a leap here, but we have recently had some whistleblowers that have come out who have discussed USOs, which are, unidentified submerged objects, right, out of the ocean. Submersible objects. Thank you. And I have a friend who was in the Navy his entire life, and he contacted me one day. He said, I love the fact you're doing this Bigfoot stuff. I've never seen one. Not that I don't believe in them, but I can tell you for sure UFOs exist. Used to watch them off our ship coming in and out of the water all the time, out of the ocean. That's what he told me. And we've had whistleblowers that say that USOs are real. There are aliens in the water, extraterrestrials living in the water, in the oceans. I just feel like I think there's a connection here. I'm just saying, I think there's a connection here. And we're talking about the whistleblowers are coming out saying that some of the ships are actually controlled by psionics. Okay, that's mental telepathy. And think about the use of dolphins and their connection to any kind of extraterrestrial life that's down there. How do we know dolphins aren't extraterrestrials, first of all? I'm just saying.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's a theory that's out there. I can't dismiss that theory. It's not one I subscribe to yet, but there's enough evidence where it's got me thinking about it. But I can tell you firsthand of being on carriers and battleships out in the middle of nowhere in the ocean. It looks like a watery desert. There's a lot of weird crap that happens out there, especially at nighttime. A lot at nighttime. I used to swear you're in a whole new universe at nighttime when you're out in the middle of the ocean and there's nothing in sight but water and sky. And you can see the curvature of the earth, and you can see like waters light up different colors, and you see all different kinds of weird crap coming from the waters or underneath the waters. I mean, is some of it bioluminescence? Yeah. Or some organisms some organisms have bioluminescence. Some of it, I don't know if it is. And there's many, many different kinds of life forms out in that ocean that we don't even know about. So, yeah, I mean, and as far as using telepathy to control things or your mind to control things, that's stuff that the government's been working on for a very long time.
And obviously so. That's what these whistleblowers are coming out and saying. And I'm just tickled over all of it because I'm like, okay, now they're admitting that, ETs are real, but they're in the ocean. They're in the ocean. Okay, well, that kind of ties us in also to, let's just say, like Atlantis. Okay, Atlantis is something that I have been given as a remote viewing target. Barry gave that to me last year. I think it was last year I did that target for him, and we had a great show on that. And I was seeing things. I know, like before we went live, you were talking about centaurs and minotaurs and things like that. I was actually seeing those in this remote viewing data. These are blind targets, and I'm seeing like a minotaur. And I wrote it down, and he was like, I guess we started doing some research and like pulling up some pictures of potential locations of where Atlantis might be. And there was a statue of a minotaur down there, as a matter of fact. So I was also seeing horse-headed humans. Okay, we're talking about chimeras and things like that. So living on Atlantis, apparently, or in Atlantis, I don't know. Is that surprising?
I mean, it don't surprise me one bit.
No.
And there's a lot of things in our ancient past that is kept hidden from us. So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things are hidden from us, okay? And I think it's really cool that we're kind of uncovering some of these things today. And it's not because they're telling us it's all true. There's some whistleblowers. Maybe they're planted there to do slow leaks and stuff. Who knows? Who cares at this point? At least we're getting a little bit of information on this. But I think that dolphins play a way bigger role than we could imagine. And so that's why I thought it was really important for us to do a show on this. As wacky and wild as this may seem, I think that we need to make this connection. I think there's some connections that can be made tonight to all of this. And so I brought in the part where the scientist, the neuroscientist, was drugging these dolphins because it does also connect to the Montauk programs, I believe, because of the mind control. Okay. Mind control is a huge element to a lot of these programs, all the super soldier programs, including the ones with the dolphins. Do you want me to pull this up, Eric?
Right. Yeah, I was just trying to get, I mean, this is just a couple photos of what they did. Putting the cameras on the flippers, but they now got a harness that wraps around them with the camera on top. This is a lot of them devices on seals. I was trying to find a deal on there. Marine Mammal Program, Pacific, United States Navy, Scientific Minds, the use of U.S. Navy Marine Mammal Program, 1959 to 2022. Several decades of classification programs through missions led by media speculation and animal activist charges of dolphins used as offensive weapons. Claims that they could not be countered due to that classification. I mean, this is your NIWC, the Pacific.
What does NIWC stand for?
I'm trying to remember off. I think it's National. Oh my gosh, man! I forgot. I'll have to look it up, man. I forgot.
It's okay.
Right there, as well as sharks, rays, sea turtles, marine birds were tested.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, you guys, this is all disclosed right here. You guys can look this up just like I did. It dawned on me. That's why I hopped over there real quick to look, because I was trying to remember. There's a lot in here. It says here the Reconnaissance and Interdiction Division of NIWC Pacific manages the Navy's marine mammal, which trains bottlenose dolphins and California sea lions to detect, locate, mark, or recover objects in harbors, coastal areas at the depths of the open sea. Everyone is familiar with the security protocol, patrol dogs, how some service dogs are then keen sense of smell detect explosives on land. Since 1959, the U.S. Navy has trained dolphins and sea lions as teammates for our sailors and Marines to help guard against similar threats underwater. The Navy Marine Mammal Program has the home port on Point Loma since 1960s. So, I mean, this is getting into the very soft stuff of it. But, I mean, this is right from their website. They're talking about using these things right here. But there's a lot more. I'll have to try to find the I'll have to try to, if I can ever find what the program where they used them as actual weapons, I'll send it to you.
Okay, I have some stuff to show the audience too. And what's up, Caleb Jade? Caleb's in the chat tonight. He says, why would they make it illegal to communicate with them if they were not intelligent? Now, that is a point that I was just about to get to. And I love that you asked that question, Caleb. Some people were claiming that it is illegal to communicate with wild dolphins. Dolphins in the wild. Why on earth, Eric? That doesn't make any sense. Like, first of all, how are you going to really communicate with a dolphin if they don't speak English? Okay, or not, whatever language you speak.
Well,
for the normal human, now I know that we are more than this physical body. We can communicate telepathically and all that kind of stuff too. But why would anyone? And who makes these laws? First of all, was this like what is it called, maritime law or something? I don't know. Who comes up with this, and what for?
The people that we vote in does.
I mean, but I would think, is this just like an American thing, or is this all over the world?
All over the world.
All over the world. Okay. Well, I guess I'll show. Yeah. Well, so if they're not intelligent, these things are highly intelligent. Probably a lot of dolphins are smarter than a lot of humans. I'm just saying.
I remember now.
Did you want me to pull this up?
No, it's fine. I was bugging the hell out of me. I couldn't remember what the hell that acronym stand for. Naval Information Warfare Center.
Oh,
I don't know why I couldn't remember that.
That's awesome. Well, I didn't know what it was. Bigfoot Dwarf says law of the waters. It's law of the waters. Oi, matey. Is that what they say? Anyways, okay. All right. So I have a website here that I was going to pull up. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. Let me share my screen real quick, and then we're going to go into why this is illegal. Okay.
There's the pigeon seeking missile. I'm sorry, man. I feel like
oh, it's okay. Okay, so I found this. It's called the NOAA Fisheries Southeast Regional Office. This is their the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, U.S. Department of Commerce. Okay, and can you guys see that? I can't see if y'all can see it or not. I think you can. It says wild dolphin interactions, regulations, and policies. Viewing dolphins in their natural habitat can be an educational and enriching experience if conducted safely and responsibly. As inappropriate human interactions with wild dolphins increase, the risk of disturbing or injuring the animals also increases. Therefore, the NOAA Fisheries developed a policy on human interactions with dolphins in the wild to clarify types of activities that may disturb and injure them. Now, I'm just going to skip down here to, well, let's just go ahead and read a few of these things. It says interacting with wild marine mammals should not be attempted, and viewing marine mammals must be conducted in a manner that does not harass the animals. They cannot support, condone, approve, or authorize activities that involve closely approaching, interacting, attempting, or interact with whales, dolphins, porpoises, seals, or sea lions in the wild. This includes attempting to swim with, pet, touch, or elicit a reaction from the animals. Now, the prohibitions and violations are the Marine Mammal Protection Act, the MMPA, and its implementing regulations at 50 CFR 216 prohibits harassing, feeding, and attempting to feed marine mammals in the wild. Violations can be prosecuted either civilly or criminally and are punishable by up to $100,000 in fines and up to 1 year in jail per violation. Now, I don't see that it says harassing, feeding, and attempting to feed, but it doesn't say communicating with anywhere on here. Now, I'm not saying there's no law against it. It just doesn't say it on here. Okay, now this is one entity, right? That says, and it's talking about the different levels of harassment. Okay, well, here, let's just read these. It says regulatory definitions. Here we go. It says harness. So you can't harness, hunt, capture, collect, or kill, or attempt to harass, hunt, capture, collect, or kill any maritime mammal. Now, that could be interpreted, Eric, as communicating with, don't you think? Probably could.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're putting all this in here because they want to cover their butt so they can prosecute you for whatever. Okay, y'all can go and find this. Just go to this website and whatever this website is. I don't know what the website is. Sorry, y'all. But go to their website, the NOAA Fisheries Southeast Regional Office. You guys can find that there. Okay. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. That pretty much does cover everything, actually. When they define what harassment is, it is basically like just stay the freak away from them. Okay. It's like just stay away or else. And they can pretty much hit you with anything. And that's $100,000 fine per charge. Why? Okay, that is okay. So they can say that's for their well-being, for your well-being, right? But some people are like saying that there's more to it, and they just don't want you to communicate because dolphins, maybe they hold some secret knowledge or something, and they're going to spill the beans. What do you think?
So the Native American people will tell you that we used to speak with animals. We all spoke the same language and talked together. Sadly, through time, we've forgotten how to communicate with them. And that's why whenever one pays you a visit, they very well could be trying to give you a message. And you're supposed to say, thank you for visiting me, my brother or sister. If you have a message for me, please deliver it to me in a dream in a language that I understand, because we can no longer understand their language. So the possibility of being able to once again communicate with them, and if the government has done a way to be able to enhance it to be able to, I can see that as being a possibility. They know this lure just like we do. And they're going to dive into it. I mean, World War II is a prime example of a certain entity there. I don't want to say the name too many times because I don't want to get you in trouble, but a certain organization then was very famous for doing that crap.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's okay. I pretty much say whatever I want on this channel now. I just don't care anymore. So, Rain is asking, the bigger question is, how would they know if we are communicating with dolphins, things that make you go,
That's probably because they have a system on there that monitors what they're doing. Chip or a microphone or something.
Well, Eric, have you heard about because they put off like a sonar, right? It's like some kind of frequency, and that's how they communicate. And have you ever heard about how pregnant women will get into? They can do like a pregnancy therapy with dolphins, and they get into the water with dolphins, and it may be that these dolphins are like in captivity, maybe those type of dolphins. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I would
there
think
is.
it would be dolphins that are have are used to being around humans, and they go and
Mhm.
it's like a therapy for it's like they're talking to the baby and they like help the woman birth her child or something. I mean, I honestly don't remember the details, but there's
Well,
some
you
kind
got
of connection.
they sound differently outside of the water versus under the water. How they sound is more clear under the water versus out of the water. They sound a whole lot different. Prime example, I mean, Harry Potter and the mermaids, they sounded like crap outside the water, but once you played them under the water, they sounded beautiful, magical. Dolphins and whales are that way. So you got to think a baby's in water inside the mom. So underwater, that sound is going to transfer differently than outside of the water. You guys are great. These stupid
That
super
is
stickers, $1 and $2 one. You
that's
guys are
so
badass.
sweet. I know. Thank you so much, Cat Chaser. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the super sticker. I do appreciate your support. Um, that's a good point, Eric. The sounds are different under the water and outside the water. I mean, I know when I was a kid, I used to go underwater, and my cousins and I we would always have contests and play these weird games. We'd play like categories. We'd jump out of the water, jump off the diving board, and like ask a question before we hit the water. We got to answer it. That was one of them. But the other game was going underwater and saying something and trying to figure out what the person said. Okay,
Yep.
did you ever do that?
Oh yeah.
And
Sound travels in water so much better and so much further than it does on in the open air. Underwater, I mean, everything, smells, sound, everything travels further and so much clearer underwater than it versus outside of it.
Oh yeah, it's hard. It's all muffled, and it doesn't sound the same as it does outside of the water. That's what I was going to say. It just doesn't sound the same, and it's funny. It's just it's difficult to figure out what people are saying under the water. So it does sound very different. And Kent Baxter, thank you so much for that super sticker. I really do appreciate you very much. Much appreciated. Thanks for your support. Yeah, I mean, we have some wonderful comments in the chat tonight too. I'm just sitting here watching this go by. This is fantastic. Um, oh, and I want to bring this up. Cosmic Joe's experiences over here too is saying, I worked at the Naval Information Warfare Center many times before assembling cubicles. Okay, well that's interesting. We have a lot of people that have backgrounds in military. No matter what your position, I know we've got a lot of different people that have had experience with military operations out here, and I'd be interested to know if anybody in the chat tonight's had any kind of contact with dolphins or any kind of these. I don't know if you can even tell me. I don't know. Are these secrets, you think, Eric? Are these like secret programs still to this day, or do you think they still have these
They
programs?
they still do. Oh, the girl, you're awesome, man. Thank you so much. They do. We're just not going to know about. We're knowing about what's being leaked out to us is very old stuff. We're not going to know about this new stuff.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, it's just like what we were talking about last week. I forgot which show I was doing, but I do a lot of shows. But at some point where I was talking about how I think it was Phil Schneider. It was that show that I did on the Dulce base with Barry, and we're talking about I think it was Phil Schneider may have said that whatever technology, whatever programs, whatever they're showing us now is actually 1,500. No, they said they're 1,500 years ahead of what they're showing us. 1,500 years. That's a lot. It's not 150. It's 1,500. So I can only imagine what they're holding back from us. Let's just say, and so this is like super basic stuff that we're seeing right now. It goes far beyond, and I feel kind of I don't feel bad for that guy, the neuroscientist that was doing those programs, but they really put him out there as like, well, we ended these programs, we ended whatever we were doing because of him. He was doing well. It was also the Navy that was providing him the money to do that, so it wasn't all his fault. He was being paid by our government. Okay, how much? Gosh, just in the past like week or so, I've been seeing a lot of really strange programs, Eric, that were being funded by our government. Okay, really bad programs with like animal abuse and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of all coming out right now. And so none of this shocks me. I'm just saying. And Sovereign Cosmic Wildman says, guess where Maritime Law Library is centered at? 100 points for who can answer that. I don't know. You might know. Do you know, Eric?
Congress.
I don't know. I have to scroll down to see where it's at. I don't know if you have the answer on here for Sovereign. I'm way behind in the comments. But
oh, I am too. I completely forgot. I'm sorry, guys. I completely forgot about the comments. I can answer them now.
It's okay. And Maureen, thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate that. For you and Gus, man. Thank you. Awesome show tonight. Making a splash. Yes, making a splash. You know, I was actually speaking of splash. What about mermaids? Okay, I know we talk cryptids a lot. If they're weaponizing dolphins, or weaponizing sea lions, or weaponizing beluga whales, they're weaponizing sharks. If they've ever gotten their hands on mermaids, they're going to weaponize mermaids, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that cold-heartedly. I mean, I hate to say it, that's just human nature. I was looking through a list here of weaponized animals. I got a kick out of this one because it says, well, it's not actually proven that dolphins were used as explosives. I'm like, yeah, it is. But I was looking through here trying to find some info for you. But, I mean, we're using everything from bats to cats to whatever. If we had, if we're using dogmen, we're using Bigfoot. This it is not out of the realm of possibility to use mermaids. It really ain't.
Oh, absolutely. And okay, Caleb says, why else would all the naval forces of the world use them? Caleb knows about the military here. That's a good question. It's because they're smart and they're efficient. They probably take commands well, and I heard they're real savage. Have you heard that, Eric? Savage. I mean, they're empathetic, okay, but they are savage. Like, they will just do it and go on sprees, if you know what I mean, and just don't care. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it'd be the same concept as dogman versus werewolves. Werewolves are easier to control because they still keep a lot of their humanity, where dogman is more beastie. So therefore, they're hard to control. I can see that being the case with the mermaids.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. So he says all the naval forces of the world use them. All the naval forces. Okay, so I have gotten some intel here on the Russians, the Americans, and maybe the Russians and the Americans were the two main ones that I found. I'm sure there's more here.
But every country doing it, yeah.
All of them. Okay. Well, all of them. Well, I can also tell you another thing. Okay, this is something else that I found as well, and I think I can see if I have this on my screen. Here it is. It's called the Chani Project. CHANI, Chani or Chani project.
Chani.
And I don't know. Are you familiar with this? You know what that is?
Yeah, that sounds familiar. The Chani Project.
I'll tell you all about it.
Somewhere. I know I've heard that somewhere.
Okay, I'm going to pull it up here, and I'm going to show everybody. And you guys can find this if you would like to look this up yourself. It's CHANI Project. In 1994, researchers at a secret collider facility, here we go again with colliders, Eric, like CERN. 1994, a secret collider facility in Africa made contact with a parallel universe entity via a computer-aided device, and for 5 years received messages and predictions which have imminent significance for humanity. Now, this is freaking wild. Okay, this is wild. This is their papers here. They actually talk about okay, so it says in this paper, okay, it's in the paper. This is the document. This is documentation of some of what they talked about. This entity, let's just say, talked about. Long story short, they say we should listen to dolphins. It literally says we should be listening and paying more attention to dolphins because dolphins are smart and hold a key of some sort. Okay, what in the world? Okay, first of all, the fact that this is from 1994, we hear a lot about CERN, okay, the Large Hadron Collider out of Switzerland. Okay, well, they've had one in Africa. This was the first time I'd ever heard about a collider in Africa, by the way. That goes back to 1994. and they're getting messages from an entity from it. Okay. I don't know how they're getting a message from an entity. I mean, is it just showing up on a computer screen? I mean, I don't even know. I don't know the details on how they were getting this information. Maybe somebody in the chat knows tonight. But they started receiving communications from an entity who claimed to be from a parallel universe timeline. And let's see. It's all disappearing on me as I scroll down here. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like it was probably pretty smart. Okay. Whatever this was. It kind of sounds like what is that? Like the ghost in the machine? I think that's what they called it. There's some kind of ghost in the machine at CERN. Have you heard about that, Eric?
Oh yeah, that's old school news right there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There has been a demonic presence located in the CERN machine that they are classifying as the ghost in the machine. There's actually a demonic presence.
Well, okay. Well, I'm going to stop sharing. You guys can find this online. Look up CHANI project, the Chani project, and look more into that. But they did have part of it. They were talking about dolphins, okay, and how humanity should be listening to the dolphins and looking to the dolphins for advice, okay, and for guidance. So maybe that's why we are supposed to be staying away from them. My goodness, not saying that our military and the governments of the world are trying to hold us back from anything, but maybe they are. What if the dolphins are the key, the missing link, Eric, to humanity's awakening?
That is a very growing theory out there right now. And it's not one that I can say I don't believe in it. I haven't done enough research on it to really have oh, Firewater, you're awesome. So I was trying to get caught up on some of these comments and answer some questions. I can say from what I've seen so far, it's a very good possibility that's true. But I am one of those believers. It's not just dolphins. It's pretty much any animal out there is that way.
Absolutely. All the animals have a story to tell. But for whatever reason, the dolphins have the spotlight on them right now. Well, here on my show right now, they got the spotlight on them, of course. But it seems as though there's a vested interest in keeping us kind of away from the dolphins. And maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist. Okay. And of course, if people aren't conspiracy theorists by now, there's something wrong. Okay.
You know the right? One sucky thing about being a conspiracy theorist.
What's that?
This is the one major sucky thing.
Yes.
We're running out of stuff to be conspiracy theorist about.
We are, because they're all right. They're all right. This is a funny picture. Somebody put this on the dolphin's head, and I put this up here only to remind me that the Ukraine also has this program. Because I labeled that picture the Ukraine dolphin. So the Ukrainians even have a program with this. And like Caleb said, all of the naval, all the navies have these programs with the dolphins. And that was one of the things that they said that they did with the dolphins. They put weapons on their heads. And I think you had mentioned that earlier. They were putting knives on their heads, literally putting knives on their heads so they could ram into the enemy.
Yeah, they've done so many things.
Yes. Well, nothing is shocking whatsoever. I'm trying to see, maybe I can see. Well, let's go ahead and talk about other factions that are using these dolphins, because we've covered the military. Also, I found that the Mexican drug cartels have been using dolphins. Yeah. Now, you did some extensive work with the cartels, not with them, but against them. What do you think about that? I know this doesn't shock you, right?
No. Like I was saying before, I've hunted terrorists, I've hunted pirates, and I've hunted drug cartel. And the worst out of all three by far was a drug cartel, because they had a backstage connection from the same people that was sending us in there. And they are very extremely well funded and have most of the time better equipment than we do. So if we've got that kind of knowledge, they do too. I mean, honestly, they do too. So that's why it doesn't surprise me. I've heard scuttlebutt about it, but I've never really. I guess I'm blessed. I don't know. I never ran into that because most of my stuff dealing with the cartel was on land. Um, most of my sea stuff was dealt with pirates, skinnies. That was done on water, but my cartel stuff was mainly done on land.
Well, they're using the dolphins. From what I was researching, they're using the dolphins to run drugs, and of course, it's your normal, the things that they wrap in the rectangular packages.
Mm-hmm.
I know YouTube's not a big fan of us saying those things on here, so, but yeah, they I think what they do is they cover it in like a tuna smell or something is what they were saying. So they cover the packages in like tuna. I don't know. It helps the dolphins like just carry it where it needs to go or something. It's just really weird. Okay, but they're being utilized for that too. So I mean, I would assume some of these people they have like pet dolphins. Stuff. Flipping the bird. What do you call that? Birds? I don't know. I listen to too much rap music. Sorry. Or I know that's terrible, right?
The only flipping the bird I know of, I can't do on the YouTube. So
I know, right? Oh my god, it's so terrible. I don't mean flipping. I know I said that wrong. I sound like a total rookie there. Okay.
When you get to talking about that, man, I get to thinking about the hippos in South America, and then the cocaine bear.
The bear. I mean, it is what it is. They're utilizing bears and stuff as yeah. I mean, they didn't utilize that bear. That bear got into some that fell out of an airplane.
Right? I know, but
that was a horrible movie, by the way. God, it was a horrible
It's true, though. It actually happened.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it actually happened.
Oh, my gosh. Firewater by Design, thank you so much for gifting that Cryptid Huntress channel membership. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for your support, you guys. Yeah, y'all join the Hunt Club. If you'd like, get some exclusive content over there. And also, my buddy from Alabama, Mr. Larry Sharp's up in here too. Thank you, Larry, for that super sticker. I appreciate that. He says, happy Saturday and prayers for all. Oh, yeah.
Walking and Called Cocaine Bear is based off an actual movie or actual event that happened.
It is.
But yeah, it is real.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. Okay. This is some important information too that I've got here. Okay. So we're going to talk about Russia for a little bit. Okay. Because I know we kind of talked about the Cold War quite a bit. And I did want to say, okay, we're going to talk about submarines. Okay. Because, during the Cold War, there's a lot of submarine activity and fighting, I guess. I don't know. We have submarines here. Barry and I were talking about that the other day with all the national parks and the missing people and submarines. We have like submarine bases out in the desert.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know that? What the heck is up with that? Is it because we have underground water tunneling systems and stuff, you think?
I mean, you got to think. I mean, look at the lower aquifer itself, not the upper aquifer. The lower aquifer is a gigantic lake. I mean, that's what my well system is hooked up to, is the lower aquifer. It's one big, massive lake. So you got tunnels underground that lead to these water systems. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'm getting like Caleb's comment here. I did a lot of drug interdiction in the South Central America, i.e. Southcom. Yeah. Caleb knows what I'm talking about. Caleb knows what I'm talking about.
Oh,
I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But yeah, there's certain people that controlled us, controlled them. They're pretty well equipped in knowledge.
The more you know. The more you know. Thank you, Caleb. Larry Sharp, thank you for gifting those memberships. That's very sweet of you. You just gifted some more memberships. I'm going to have to do another video in the next couple of days because we're going to have a bunch of new members over here. So thank you, Larry. That's awesome. Okay. Robin says, by the way, Jessica, dolphins and wolves have a connection.
Yes, they do.
What is that connection?
I believe it's telepathically, and I can't remember genetically or not, but I'm pretty sure it has to do with something telepathically or something like that. It's been a while, but yes, I remember that very vividly. Yeah, they do.
Wow. Okay, well, I'm going to do some more research on that then. Okay, as soon as we get done with the show today, I'll definitely be looking that up. Sovereign says submarines go deep inside the USA. John Lear, I can't say it, Phil Schneider type info. Yeah. I mean, when I came across that submarine base in, I think it's Nevada or New Mexico, I was like, what the heck? I think that was when I was doing that research on the Pyramid Lake out in Nevada. Found a submarine. Yeah. Well, bodies were actually washing up. Like people would drown in Pyramid Lake and they'd end up at Lake Tahoe. And then people would drown at Lake Tahoe and they'd end up in Pyramid Lake. And it's so far away from each other, but they have like underground, like what you said, the aquifer system, I guess. There's something that like a current that would take them from one lake to the other. So it would suck them under and spit them out the other lake.
Well, I mean, you also got to think about this. The Mammoth Cave is the largest cave system in the world, and it covers most of North America. And so you got to think how large that is and how much water is in one of those. Yeah, I was laughing about that. I know what he means, but that's why I was laughing. So, I mean, there's tunnel systems that go out in the ocean and everything else like that. So that's not far-fetched.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about beluga whales and submarines, okay, because this is all connected. So beluga whales, we have a beluga whale exhibit here at the Atlanta Zoo. I'm not the Atlanta Zoo. The what do you call it? Oh my God, I can't think of it. It's like what do you call it? We have all the fish. It's like SeaWorld.
Oh, aquarium.
The aquarium, the Georgia Aquarium. God, I cannot think right now. Yeah, we have the aquarium. One of my favorite, I think it is my favorite exhibit at the Atlanta, Georgia Aquarium is what they call it. I was like one of the first people to get a membership there. I got my whole family a membership to the Georgia Aquarium, like season passes when they first opened, but we haven't been back since. I took my son there one time. But anyways, my favorite exhibit is the beluga whale exhibit. They're super smart, just like I would assume dolphins are as well. But they have the echolocation capabilities and can dive up to 700 meters deep, deeper than all but a few of the military submarines. Okay, so they're down there. It says both the Soviet Union and the U.S. military have trained beluga whales for military purposes, of course. And in April 22nd, I think this is what you were talking about earlier, because in April 22nd of 2019, fishermen off the northeastern coast of Norway were approached by that beluga whale. Now, is that what you were mentioning earlier?
This was actually a more recent one, I thought. I could be wrong. I may have my dates mixed up.
Well, this is only 6 years ago. It wasn't that long ago.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it was a beluga whale, and it had that yellow harness on its back. Now, I did show that picture a while ago of a dolphin that has some sort of a strap on it. It looks like it's got some sort of a device around its back. And it said that for 2 days, this thing was trying to get this. It was trying to get this harness off its back. And it had a camera on it. And the men were able to take it off of it after 2 days. That kept coming up to their boat. And it said equipment of St. Petersburg. It was written on a buckle. It said a similar yellow harness, this time mounted on a camera. It was seen on a sea lion trained by the Russian Navy in 2018. And no Russian civilian research programs reported the loss of the whale. And it's widely believed, even though it's not official, that the friendly beluga escaped from a Russian military program, presumably training whales for surveillance of Scandinavian waters. Back in 2014, Russian forces increasingly targeted Norway and Sweden with mock attack runs and surveillance missions. And, of course, the beluga whales can weigh up to 1.75 tons. They have strong echolocation, and they go really deep. Okay, so, and of course, in the 1960s, the U.S. Navy began training, sea mammals, of course, and they were trained to retrieve objects and even drag swimmers to the surface using operant conditioning methods. Okay, so they were actually trained to save the lives of some of these divers, but they were also being trained to, I guess, sniff out, if you call it sniffing out, it's not the right term, but look for bombs and things like that, like missiles or submarines. I mean, they were just trained to find all sorts of stuff, right?
Yeah, they were trained to not only provide reconnaissance and spying operations, but search and destroy and search and recover as well.
says the Navy deployed dolphins and sea lions to guard ships in the Cameron Bay, Vietnam, and Bahrain, and to search and mark naval mines in the Persian Gulf and the Iraqi port of Qasr. Today, the San Diego-based marine mammal program musters around 75 dolphins and 30 sea lions, half of its Cold War peak. So they had about under 100 of them, I guess they were using back then. I mean, that's what they admit to in these articles here. But in 1965, the Soviet Navy opened its own marine life program in the Black Sea. And let's see. And then a Marine Biological Institute was opened in 1984. The Soviets feared sabotage by naval commandos. And so they had a diverse family of underwater small arms. And let's see, a declassified 1976 CIA report reveals that the Soviet marine mammal program initially suffered severe deficits of scientific expertise and professional handlers. Dolphins died in droves from being fed unthawed frozen fish, lack of the right care, and inadequate environmental conditioning. And 2 out of 47 dolphins survived transportation to the facility. And there were not very many survivors out of all these programs. And they didn't have the right conditions, and the handlers weren't the best, apparently. And so, of course, the program didn't work out as well as they thought because they couldn't keep the animals alive, apparently. What breaks my heart more than anything is going and seeing. I hate going to the zoo, and I hate I like the aquarium, but I feel horrible for all those animals in there. I felt horrible for them. I hate seeing caged animals and stuff. There is nothing like bringing me down than taking me to a zoo. Okay. And you go to like SeaWorld and you see those whales, the orcas, and their fins are bent over like that. It's just it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, that happens when they're in captivity.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's pretty sad, but yeah. So they were training what they called combat dolphins for lethal attacks. Okay, so it says their main role. This is in Soviet Russia. Okay, Soviet Russia. Their main role was to protect the waters of the fleet's principal base against underwater saboteurs. The bottlenose dolphins graze at the entrance of the bay, and on defecting an intruder, immediately signal to an operator at the coastal surveillance point. After that, in response to the relevant command, they're capable of killing the enemy on their own with special dolphin muzzle with a spike. Dude, that's crazy. They have a muzzle with a spike. Oh my God, that is wild. I just, I don't know why, like, my mind has not really gone there very much to like think that those sweet little dolphins would be trained to unalive people like that. That's wild. Yeah. You get like a swarm of dolphin, vigilantes coming at you. So anyways. Yeah. Okay. So the Naval's command, they deployed beluga whales at the entrance of the bays as sentries. So they have like it's almost like, what is that? Like the Little Mermaid or something down there. They've got like a whole army of beluga whales and dolphins. I mean, imagine it's like Poseidon. They have like Commander Poseidon down there instructing all the sea life as to where to go. And they keep them all in cages too, and they let them out whenever they're ready to have them strike. Kind of like it's wild dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a pretty scene. I mean, I never worked with them. I just know the scuttlebutt from the people that did, or some of the research that I've been on. I mean, yeah, and they love them just like they do a normal animal, but the conditions ain't the best. They really ain't.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's kind of sad talking about all this, but the reason we're talking about this tonight, y'all, I know this is kind of crazy, right? But it is because we're trying to figure out like what the connection is to, like, it's really about the dolphins. I know I'm talking about the whales, but I mean, is there something else to this? Like, I feel like they're being exploited. Let's just say it. Let's put it that way. They're being exploited, right? For their intelligence. But I think there's something much more grand about it, like in the bigger scale of things. I just feel like there is something more to the dolphins, and it is something that it's almost like they, whoever they are, they don't want humans to reach our highest potential, right? Like we've been suppressed for a long time. Dolphins are also being suppressed in a way, and there's some kind of higher intelligence. I hate to say higher intelligence, but there's some kind of AI intelligence from this program, the Chani program, saying that we need to focus on dolphins. We're going to get answers from the dolphins. That's who we need to be paying attention to. Well, what's going on with the dolphins? Okay, what's going on with the dolphins? We're ready to ascend. We need to contact the dolphins now, I guess.
You got to put this in. Let's get out of the ZA phase of it, the military side of it, the government side of it for a second, and because this is very vital into what you're talking about. Just the connection between humans and dolphins alone, you got to consider this. Look how many thousands of reports out there of dolphins coming to humans' aids. I'm talking about wild dolphins, being attacked by sharks or drowning or whatever. How many times dolphins came to the rescue of humans? There is some kind of connection there between humans and dolphins. I mean, otherwise, why would they be? They've been known to fight sharks, killer whales, and stuff like that. I mean, dolphins they're a hold my beer and watch this animal. When it comes to some of the bigger ones, they got a Napoleon complex with it. It's like, I'll show you. They are very, very extremely intelligent mammals, and they are a mammal. They're not a fish. They are a mammal. Dolphins are mammals. We are mammals, so we're connected in that way. So if you take that side of it and then you implement the government and the military and all stuff like that, you're going to see why we have such a good connection with them, because of the connection we have outside of that. I'm serious.
That's a good point. Yeah. I just there's a lot of answers that can be found in dolphins. Okay, a lot of answers, and actually, I really appreciate this that Robin was bringing this up. Dolphins from Sirius nomos. Okay, I know Barry and I talked about the umos on Thursday. These are the nomos. They're a little different, but they are from the stars. Okay, they were aquatic extraterrestrials from the stars, from the Dogon tribe. I believe that's out of Africa, if I'm not mistaken. And I think we've covered that before. That might have been one of my remote viewing targets a long time ago. Ooh, my ears just started ringing really loud. Okay. So that's important. All right, let's pull some of this up, because let's look at the history behind some of these aquatic gods. Okay. If you want to call them gods, I mean, these talking about like the Assyrians, the Sumerians, even Christianity, right? The emblem for, I mean, we even have a fish symbol, right? Let's see. Okay. Let's go back to this. Is this it's from the Dogon? Maybe this is a Dogon. I'm not sure. The Dogon fish god. I mean, are these supposed to be like extraterrestrial? Are these crypto-terrestrial? What did these come from the stars?
Yeah, they come from the stars. Yeah.
Could there be a connection with the dolphins? Maybe. I mean, I know maybe I'm kind of going out on a limb here and reaching, but
yeah, it's a I just brain farted. When I was doing a show about mermaids, I actually pulled this up because this is one of the oldest accounts of a type of mermaid, and it was a Assyrian cylinder, with a Dogon or a fish god. I believe these are tied to the Anunnaki, and if memory serves me correctly, I have to pull up my notes. If memory serves me correctly, these are tied with the Anunnaki, and they're one of the oldest mermaid legends on the planet, and it is god of the sea. But you got to think about it. You got Poseidon, you got oh my God, Neptune, Njord. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of different gods of the sea.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, God. That's what I was trying to remember right there. The Pope's hat versus his hat or his head. Very similar.
Oh, you're talking about this Pope hat, huh?
Yep.
It's the same. They have the same. And look at this. I mean, similar. Okay, this is from the Dagon. Okay, and of course, what Robin was referring to are the Nomo, and these are statues depicting the Nomo right there, and the Dogon tribe, advanced star race. I mean, this is worldwide, worldwide phenomenon, worldwide star people, star beings that have an aquatic nature to them. Right. There's even one out of India, and I was trying to get it. It would not upload to my computer for some reason. But there's also, aquatic fish gods, I guess you could call them, out of India, all over the world. These are just the ones that I was able to get to upload today. So, I mean, I think
have all the pictures still. Okay, I thought I did.
Do you want me to pull this up?
We can if you want to. So these are the different types of mermaids that are tied to the gods, like we were just talking about. I'm waiting on it to load here. Sorry. Let me drop that down and see if that'll make it any better.
Okay, I'll go back and I'll be showing these while you're working on that. Okay,
yeah, go ahead.
I think it's wild. I just made this connection this year. A couple months ago with the Pope's hat. And the Dogons, Dagons or Dogons? I guess it's the Dagons.
Dagon,
the fish gods.
I've heard of both ways.
What is the Pope doing wearing a hat of a fish god?
Exactly.
Why?
So here's that one you were talking about right here. This is the same one. This is different interpretations of what he looks like. Then you got. This is I can't remember if this is the Hindu or the Irish one.
Oh yeah, they're like mermaids. What about the Starbucks?
Oh, this
logo?
Is the Hindu one. Yeah, that's another god. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a prime example of one right there. Oh yeah. I'm not a fan of Starbucks. That's evil stuff.
I know. Some people say that she's like a demon. Okay, the logo is demonic. You're drinking demonic coffee.
This is your Starbucks one right here.
That's the Starbucks one. Isn't that supposed to be like demonic? I don't know. That's what some people say. I don't know.
Yeah, that's from what I've understood. This is another version of her right here.
She's, you see a lot of these depicted actually in some of those old world maps, like was it the Piri Reis map? I think is one of them, and where it's like two-tailed mermen. It's not just Is it mostly men depicted too? It's not like women; it's mermen.
That was a Christian one right there.
Caleb says the Cathars are the original Catholic faith, hence the name. They worship the ocean-dwelling Nephilim or merfolk. Yeah. That would make all the sense right there. Ooh.
That's supposed to be a petrified mermaid.
They say that the mermaids are not beautiful. Okay, now whether that's a bad taxidermy gone wrong, or if that is something real, I don't know. But that is what they describe it as being pretty horrific looking. Like you don't want one of those swimming up underneath you and grabbing your feet. Yeah. Every time we have these shows about what are they, like the kappas and all these weird mer people and stuff, like of course I went to the lake the day or so after we did a show on the kappas out of Japan, and I had a really hard time getting in that lake because I was worried that someone was going to grab my feet, and it was probably a kappa in Alabama, the Alabama kappas. But you never know what's swimming underneath you guys, right, Eric? Just you don't know what's under you.
I've done a lot of scuba diving. All of it's been ocean dives. I have yet to do freshwater. I'm going to. It's a whole new world under that water. I mean, people freak out about things all the time, man. I can't even tell you how many times I've swam with sharks. The chances are so low. I mean, it happens, but it's considered the amount of sharks you swim next to every single day you're in the ocean. It's actually a very low count. I've swam with them. I've swam with whale sharks. I've swam with barracudas. I mean, I kissed a freaking jellyfish by mistake. I mean, I played with sea snakes. I mean, I mean,
Oh,
I
geez.
love scuba diving. It's the atmosphere under that water. There is nothing to match it. Unless you've ever experienced it yourself, you're just not going to know.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Barry's up in here. What's up, Barry Littleton? He
What's up,
says the
Barry?
Natha tether incident may have been Nomo returning. Man, maybe so. I don't know. Is that the one where they had the big cube that you and I did that remote viewing on, Barry? I can't remember. I think you sent me that video today. I didn't have a chance to watch it. I'm so sorry. The tether incident, though, yeah, that's something you mentioned earlier today. I don't know, y'all. There's so much. There's so much going on in this world.
Yeah.
It could be just if you've seen that documentary, there's like a documentary on the mermaids. They say that it's all they acted like it was real. It was like on the Animal Planet. They acted like it was real, but then ended up being fake. Fake as crap. Now, Barry and I have talked about that a good bit, and he believes, and I believe too, like maybe one scene out of that could be real. Actually,
There's probably some truth into it. Yes, you got to think, man, and we kind of hinted on this morning. People are purposely put into our programs and our lives to discredit us and try to keep us from putting out the truth. So they're going to make videos. They're going to do stuff like. Then you got the other people that are just doing it for clickbait. All this stuff all of this stuff factors in. But what's sad is behind a lot of the stuff, there's actually some truth to it as well.
Yeah, they do sprinkle in a little bit of truth just so that we don't believe it.
Yeah.
So it keeps us all in confusion. That is there. We always talk about there. Okay, they have a vested interest in keeping us confused and chasing our tails. Okay, they do. Just know I do believe. My opinion is that mermaids are real. Everything, if you can believe it, if you can dream it, it's real, basically. And I'm not saying everything's real. Okay, here we go. Oh, Barry says, no, it was orb circling the tether that had dislodged from the space station. Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting stuff there.
I don't know a whole lot about that, but I remember somebody was talking about it. Maybe it was your show I heard that on. It could have been your show I heard that on.
Right. Kent has a good point. He says we have like 0.00001% of the actual truth. That's right.
Yeah.
And and the little bit of truth they're going to put out there is going to be covered in a bunch of mistruths, I guess you can call it. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah. And this is, and Barry was actually earlier today, we were talking back and forth, and he was talking about the aquatic ape theory as well. And, that is actually attached to Bigfoot at times as well.
Yeah.
And
I've heard that. Oh, come on, dude, that's my ear. Stop. Sorry, I'm being attacked by a vicious dog right now.
Oh, man. You're cute little dogs. All right. Well, listen, the Dolphins. I know we're kind of here. We're talking about the Dolphins tonight, of course. We got talking about mermaids. I mean, but it's kind of all connected. I do believe that. I mean, if our government's working with dogmen and Bigfoot, and I'm getting back on the government aspect of it. If they're working with those kind of cryptids, why wouldn't they be working with the mermaids as well? And they're working with dolphins. Man. Okay. Well,
yeah. I mean, dude. And what's sad is I made this comment earlier because what we probably are hearing now is old stuff. Lord knows what they're doing now. I mean, if they're using pigeons in World War II to guide missiles, when you said that deal, they're using dolphins to control ships. If they have the telepathic capability of that is not far-fetched at all. I mean, it really ain't. I mean, Lord knows. Lord knows.
Yeah. You know, Barry just texted me a link to Barry. You're actually in the chat right now. If you're in here and you want to put that link in here, I'm going to try to do it right now myself. He did a whole video on Project Channy, what we were just talking about. So I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to put it in our chat for everybody. If you guys are interested in watching that, I'm interested in watching it. And yes, I will be watching it as soon as the show is over tonight, Barry. Thank you for that. Big time. Barry's done so much research on all this stuff, you guys. Be sure to check out his channel. It's Barry Littleton over on YouTube. And I just posted that link in our chat. So yeah, I think we need to keep an eye on all of these colliders too. And like what kind of information and what kind of entities are coming out of them. I mean, we just recently had okay, I put it in there and Barry has also put it in there. Thank you, Barry. But we recently have had people talking about entities that are coming out of CERN, okay, out of the Hadron Collider. I don't know if they're opening up the portals. I'm not sure what's going on, but entities are coming out of there now with this African Project Channy. I don't know if they're talking, I mean, they're talking about how they were in communication with it. How are they in communication with it? The thing that I'm in my mind, okay, I do know that I was told. Here's another thing is like, I'm not sure how to say this. I was told by a friend, let's just say, who worked in a tech company. He worked in a tech company and he was in charge of part of his job was to watch. Oh God, I don't know if I could talk about this. He was supposed to watch, and he's not here anymore. So it's okay if I talk about it, I'm sure. He watched the skies, let's just say outer space, for incoming threats. Okay, that's what he did. And he would often tell me that you know, the heads of these big tech companies were microdosing on like LSD, right? Kind of like what they were giving. I guess it's that or something, some kind of mind altering drug. And it was kind of like what we were talking about the dolphins doing that. And it's like to open up the consciousness and to test the consciousness and to get into the minds of these dolphins. It's all mind control, right? Maybe to try to see how they can control their minds. No telling what all kinds of devices they had on them, what kind of experiments they did. I mean, think about the Montauk Project and then put it pertaining to dolphins is what they were doing. Well, this is my friend who was part of his job. He got paid to do this. Okay. And Elon Musk, that's right. Thank you, Caleb. He says, I look out for my Marines for the propane. That's funny. Thank you.
Hell yeah, Battle.
Thanks, Caleb. And okay, so part of his job. Thank you so much, Caleb. That's so sweet of you. Part of his job was watching the skies for incoming threats. And he would talk about how one day he wouldn't mind doing this, but he said he was still, you know, he couldn't do these kind of things because he, you know, they would be subjected to, I don't know if he was still in the service or not. I have no idea. Okay. I don't remember. I don't know what's going on. None of my business. But, you know, drug testing and all that kind of stuff would like prevent him from ever doing this. But he said that a lot of people that were working with him were microdosing is what they called it. Okay. Yep. And that is where they would take, for people who don't know what that is, and I don't even really know myself too much, but it's like them taking small little doses of some sort of mind altering substance, and it would put them in contact with, I'm going to say the machine elves, because I don't know what else it is, some sort of entity from another dimension. And that's, I mean, that's where my mind goes when I hear about dolphins taking LSD. I'm like, well, were they meeting humans? Were like they doing all this in tandem, and they were like meeting somewhere, and they were talking with the entities, and like, it's such a weird rabbit hole. It's a really wild rabbit hole. But the head of a lot of these like tech companies and stuff were, from what I was told, was they were microdosing on whatever that substance is, and they were being told, given orders on what to do by entities from another dimension. And somebody in the chat said Elon Musk a while ago. Now I don't know if it was Elon. I don't know. But there are other tech companies where people were doing that.
Well, they were doing that in the military a long time ago. I mean, that's nothing new. I mean, that was the whole purpose of it, you know. So I have seen some paperwork. I can't prove its existence, but on a certain program, I have seen some paperwork that it was talking about using that to what was it, clear the mind to be able to speak with I believe it was extraterrestrial or interdimensional, or not interdimensional, but dimensional. I can't remember. Man, that was so long ago. But it was dealing with being able to open up your mind waves, and it has to deal with something with um, psychic abilities, but I can't remember the term. Something dealing with psychic ability, but I just don't remember. Anyways, it's supposed to amplify that to nine. Stop it. To be able to communicate with them that way. But you had to have that gift, that psychic gift. But like I said, I don't remember what they called it. You might know. I can't remember. But
well, there's all sorts of different psychic gifts like clairaudience, clairsentience. I mean, just telepathy and PK abilities as well and stuff like that, like psychokinesis.
No, not psychokinesis. I can't remember. It might be.
Just think of Stranger Things, okay, and that's
it's supposed to really project it like way out there, but I can't remember what it is. It was a long time ago.
Well, there are ways that people who are trained can do, and I'm not saying I can do it, but I'm saying some people can be trained to do. Oh, there's all sorts of people putting words in here: clairvoyant, psychometry,
that might be it.
Psionic abilities, all that. Yes, but what is it like? Distance? What do they call that? Where you affect people from a distance? I forgot what it's called. I can't think tonight. I don't know.
Anyway, what you're talking about there is kind of what if I remember right, it has something to do something that, but it's like reaching further than Earth.
Oh, going beyond. Well, it's beyond space and time. I know that. That's what remote viewing is. We are more than this physical body, just in case y'all didn't know. Okay, and we are limitless humans. Okay, and ETs already know that. They're already limitless and stuff. The only thing that ever stops us from doing anything is our own mind. We put limits on ourselves and on our mind and our outside forces. And it's all, as long as we can break that down. If dolphins can do it, humans can do it, damn it. Okay. But, yeah, this is all very wild stuff. But interdimensional contact, okay, is what our governments are doing, our tech companies are doing. People are getting instructions on how to make things and to build things and how to take over our world potentially by doing connecting with these entities from other dimensions. And if you don't think people are doing it, you better think again, because they're doing it. I know for a fact they're doing it.
Thank you, Chicky. Yes. Why couldn't I remember that? Chicky Blue, astral projection.
Oh, astral projection. That's what remote viewing is, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as I seen that, it clicked in my head. I went, oh, yeah.
Remote influence. Yes, that's right, too. Caleb says some of us are born this way. Seventh son of the seventh son here. I'll be. Mm-hmm. James says, you mean remote influence? I went through that at Montauk. Yes, James. That's remote influence is what I was talking about, for sure. And so it's kind of, I kind of am able to, and I've been training in remote viewing and mind control for a long time, and so when it comes down to like doing targets where I've located a person or whatever, I see something bad's happened, or somebody's been kidnapped or something, you can ask them questions and things like that. And I have been told, I'm not saying I ever did this, but you can get into the mind. Some people are able to even get into the minds of the attacker. Like, you say there's a kid that's been kidnapped, and you've located the person who did it. You can remotely influence that person by mind control when you're trained to do stuff like that. And it's
Yeah,
the
oh, yeah,
darker side of all of this. And
oh, yeah.
and that's it is what it is. But people are able to do that. So
We
it's
got a
needless.
technique in the Marines we call mind judo.
Oh
So
yeah.
when we're targeting someone and we're wanting information, 9 times out of 10, a human's going to lie to you about their things. So you get information out of them without them realizing they're getting information from you using mind judo. Um, their body language, their tone, the words they say, how they say it. That's how you can kind of pretty much pick out who's full of crap and who ain't, and who you know to follow and who you don't know how to follow. It's a type of mind judo. That's what we called
Mind
it, mind
judo.
judo.
Mind judo. That's what them Jedis are doing out there.
Mm-hmm.
Amy says machine elves are DMT. From my experience, microdoses opened your mind.
I've
Yeah.
never heard of machine elves. I have to look into that.
Oh yeah, machine elves are a thing. I mean, I see. I don't know for sure because I mean that's Amy says what I thought was machine elves are what the entities that you interact with once you do that DMT. That's what I thought it was, but I don't know. And so, nonetheless, there are entities that do come out and will talk to you when you're on some sort of I guess you call it elevated consciousness. I guess. So, man, I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying anybody should do this. Okay. I'm not saying anybody should do it, but there are people who do it and, and they get I want to say they get their orders from the machine elves on like what to do. That makes me wonder too, like, what about people like Nikola Tesla, for instance, people who were brilliant minds who were cutting edge researchers and inventors. People claim that he was actually from Venus. Okay, there are declassified documents allegedly that say that and I don't know if I've seen them, I can't remember, but there's declassified like CIA documents claiming that he's from Venus. Some people say Elon Musk is from Venus. Okay, well, I don't know. I know this doesn't have a lot to do with like microdosing and things like that, but what if? What if it's all a consciousness thing?
Look
What
at
if they
the
were
abilities
in
of
contact
us.
with them? Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Remote. Yes. Those are all the Ace Banner says. I think you were thinking of remote influence, telepathy, or remote manipulation. Yeah. Remote influence was actually the term that I was trying to think of. But it's all kind of the same there. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Summer says, get high by climbing a mountain instead. Absolutely. Yes, it is a spiritual experience. Once you reach the top of that mountain, you're probably going to be exhausted, but you will be talking to God at that point up there. And right, Eric.
Yeah, I've been on top of a couple.
Yeah.
I also like the broccoli.
Oh my gosh. That is too crazy. That's funny. Oh man. Well, this has been a really interesting, very interesting show tonight, by the way. Very interesting show. I think that we need to do a little more digging on keep our eyes on it. Maybe we don't have to do so much digging on dolphins. I think that we need to keep our eyes on what's going on with the dolphins.
Yeah. Man, I'm trying to remember because there's something I know I'm forgetting, but it was something that I studied, 20 years ago, and it has to deal with dolphins and whales, but I cannot, for the life of me, remember. But oh, that's right, I can't do that. I don't want to take that chance. There is something very important about them, and it has to deal with humans and them combined, but I can't remember what it was. It was like 20 years ago. I stumbled across something, and dolphins and whales were a big part of it because people people leave out the whales, and the whales are a big part of this as well. Their voice, which sounds like music to us, has a ability and a power to it. And the dolphins, theirs does too. But we can sync mentally with the whales just as much as we can the dolphins. So they're a huge part of this as well. And so, I mean, we'll be doing them a disservice not considering them in this as well. I know we're looking at the military side of it, but I'm looking kind of a little bit past that too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not all military stuff. I mean, we're kind of focusing on the weaponized dolphins just because it shows you how important they are. Okay, how smart they are. And I really wanted to focus on the mental capacity of them and the higher consciousness of the dolphins.
Yeah.
A higher consciousness of the dolphins. I mean, it's not very often that something out of the ocean is telepathic. Telepathic. That is a word that I just learned for the first time today. Telepathic. And humans are telepathic as well. Okay, telepathic. It's not just like, reading each other's minds and sending each other messages through, your mind and speaking through your mind, your higher consciousness. It's feeling each other. It's like feeling your feelings, like understanding. I mean, dogs are telepathic, right? Don't you think?
And that's the thing. People forget. Like when you're really in tune with your pet, you know what they're saying. You know what they're thinking. I mean, the same concept is with dolphins and whales. I mean, you could connect at that level. I know when he's being the way he is. I know when boars and the cats and all the rest of them. There's a reason why we talk the way we talk to them, because if you really are connected to them on that wavelength, it's a means of communication with them. You kind of get an idea of what they're thinking. It's the same concept with dolphins and whales.
Oh yeah. And Cryptid, I'm a few minutes behind on the comments. Cryptidville says a lot of the information on how to make CERN came from machine elves, from what I've heard.
Oh,
wow. That's interesting. I've heard that. That's very interesting. Yeah, machine elves are when you trip and fall. I'm just kidding. Yeah, that is wild. I mean, well, the information came from somewhere, right? Came from somewhere. What if? I mean, we should take this seriously. Okay, you should take it seriously. People are getting high off something, and they are communing with interdimensionals, and they are putting it into our everyday lives. This affects all of us. It affects us. They're turning on CERN and all these large ion and hadron colliders all over the world, because they are everywhere. There's not just one in Africa. There's not just one in Switzerland. We have them here in the U.S. I know of at least 3 personally at this point in the South. Yeah. They're all over the place. We don't know what's going on when they turn those things on exactly. We just know that maybe it accounts for some of the Mandela effects. Maybe it accounts for some portals opening and cryptids and things coming out. I mean, they're talking about how in CERN, there are entities coming out, like demonic entities are coming out of them, and they can't control it.
Now,
what kind of implications does that have?
They opened up a gateway that they can't close, which has changed so much of our lives. Me and William has talked about this several times. Look at all the changes since the first time they fired that bad boy up. Oh yeah, they are. So yeah. Think about this too. So much of us is created and runs off of frequency. Okay. The dolphins have their own frequency with their sounds. The whales have their own. So each of us has our own frequency, but we're also tied to Mother Earth's frequency. So if you can tap into that frequency, this is why, like meditative music, if you get the right kind of meditative music with the right frequency, you can block so much distractions out. And it's amazing what you can think of and come up with. I mean, that's what I use when I write. When I'm writing, I'm either listening to Nordic meditative music or Native American meditative music, depending on what my energy feels like at the time, is which one I'm listening to. When I get that out, I'm able to zone the fog of life out and be able to focus. Frequencies are huge. Animals run off of frequencies too. Is that what telepathy? Probably. I mean, I don't know. I'm not as caught up on that as most people. but it's all dealing with frequencies. Frequencies is huge in all life.
Going back to Nikola Tesla, didn't he say everything is energy, frequency, and vibration? That's the whole, it's like the secret of the universe right there. And that's the truth. 369, right?
Yeah, man, it's once you can get toned into frequencies, it's amazing what you can do. You can move stuff, you can see things, you can heal, you can destroy. I mean, frequencies have so much power, but you can also communicate. You can communicate with frequencies. And I believe that's something that cryptids use, i.e., Bigfoot, what we call dogmen. I believe they use a type of frequency that we're calling infrasound. And I believe these dolphins are doing, and whales are doing the exact same thing. Sonar is a type of frequency.
Yes, that's why my team has been trained so extensively in psychic skills and psychic abilities. We're a Bigfoot field research team. Imagine that if all the Bigfoot field research teams were trained in telepathy. How about all the humans on Earth were trained in that? Imagine if we had a psychic army and just an army of psychic people. I mean, I'm confused as to why they're not training the entire military on psychic abilities too. That's an important skill.
It's a type of mind judo.
Judo, that's right.
That's kind of the basics of mind judo. Yeah, it's a type. What we call mind judo is the basics forms of that. I mean, if you study history or ancient history, a lot of them said we all had this ability to be able to do this at one point in time in our lives, in our history. So that has been washed away from us. I mean, my mom, I always knew when she needed something. She didn't have to call me. I knew because I was able to pick up on that frequency. My great-grandmother Smith, who was full-blooded Cherokee, was the same way. I mean, this is nothing new. Everybody has it. Just some people are in tune to it and some of them ain't. We that mind fog that we have clouds a lot of the abilities that we used to have. Got to break through that fog.
Well, and that's another thing. We have artificial frequencies that we're under attack of all the time. There's all these frequencies. There are frequency weapons, let's just say, everywhere. We have them in our homes. I mean, I would probably go out on a limb and say these little devices we carry in our hand, in our pockets, and our purses all day, and have right beside us all the time, they're putting off a frequency.
That's why I have this. I mean? It's a frequency energized EMF blocker. This is all controlled by frequency. I have this on a lot of my devices to get rid of that.
Oh, Ricky knows what's up. I just saw this comment. The 5G is messing with our frequencies. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And also, I pretty often will bring up the whole thing about Alaska and how they have the Alaska Triangle and a lot of the cryptids up there, all the wildlife is more violent against humans in that triangle. I'm thinking, well, what do they got up there? Maybe HARP or something. They got some kind of weather manipulation stuff going on. And I know that the animals have historically been more violent against humans up there before that stuff was put up there. But then again, it's well, do we know how long it's really been up there? What kind of, I mean, I think that some of these frequency weapons and stuff are older than we know. So, but I think that it's putting off a frequency that is really irritating the wildlife up there. We're irritated. Think about even how they've changed the music frequencies. They've changed the megahertz to make it uncomfortable for us to listen to it and make us. We were talking about that yesterday. I actually went on a little field trip with my friend Bryce. And we walked around Marietta, Georgia yesterday. We went and visited John Benet Ramsey's grave. And I had we actually had a really fun day yesterday. But we went and paid our respects and visited that. And we had gotten the conversation as we were walking about the frequencies. We're talking about this right now. And about how one of the ladies that was with us was like, well, the frequencies are, a lot of the music is actually even faster and stuff now. It's like almost to like keep us in a mode of just like busy bodies and like wanting to continue to like work all the time and like little worker bees. It's not soothing. We don't have the healing sounds that are coming through there. There's actually one church in Marietta, Georgia. I think it's either the Episcopal Church or the Presbyterian Church. I can't remember, but it's one of those churches in Marietta, Georgia, which is where like Kennesaw Mountain is, where they had a huge battle, the Civil War out there. There's one church that actually has a real bell, and they had to, bless you, and they had to, the person who rings that bell has to go through extensive training. I got the whole history yesterday. We went to the Marietta History Museum. They have to go through extensive training to know how to ring that bell just right, because it puts off healing frequencies, healing tones throughout the whole city. And so not just anybody can ring that bell. Now, in my town where I live, we have a bell that goes off every 15 minutes on the 15-minute mark, and it is a recording. You can tell it is not comfortable to hear it. I don't like it. It's nice, but it's like high pitched. It's like sharp sounds and like sharp notes and stuff. I don't like it. But however, I know this is kind of getting off the topic of everything tonight, but it's kind of not, because it's all about the frequencies. And back in the day, they had all these bells that would go off, and it was like healing centers. And we've gone so far from that.
It was also used to chase away demonic entities as well, because it's all about the right frequency. The right frequency can heal, destroy, manipulate, or remove things. So a lot of church bells, well, it wasn't church bells. It was, old religion, basically. Sadly, people call it paganism nowadays. I don't like that term, but I mean, it is what it is. Certain bells had a certain purpose because they each had a certain frequency to them. So one thing that Nikola Tesla invented that I'm so excited about, because they started creating them in Florida, and they're going to start issuing them out, it's called med beds. Med beds use frequencies to heal you. So I'm excited for them to come out, but they've already got them down in Florida right now.
There's one in Douglasville, Georgia. I know a guy that has one. I met him at the Full Disclosure Now conference last year, and it just turned out he's not too far from where I grew up out there. And he had a med bed it was some kind of, it had like Tesla coils in it and all this kind of stuff. He was actually, people were using it there at the conference. It was wild. And I think it's going to be wonderful when we all can get our hands on it at some point, or get access to those. They're out there. They're out there. People have them today. They have them. So I need to find out who that was. Maybe go try it sometime.
It's a company out of Florida, and eventually every home's going to have one. So have you guys seen the movie? Oh my gosh, Elysium. I think it's called Elysium.
Elysium. That's a great movie. Yeah.
Med beds. Those are med beds that they use to heal. Those are med beds. So every home is going to have one. Now, you can get them for free, but the free ones go to the people who need it more than anybody else at first, or you can buy them. So everybody's going to have the option to either get the free version or buy one. But yeah, eventually they'll be in every single home. But yeah, that's a Nikola Tesla design there.
You're talking about how the bells would ward off demons. I mean, if we could get those bells back up and running, we'd probably have better government officials and stuff too, I bet.
Oh yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, run all the demons away. Okay, that'd be great. That'd mean they'd hop out the bodies of all the people in charge. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's wild. But maybe that's part of how everything's been overrun by such dark forces. And we're having to clean that up right now.
Yeah. William, brother, that's a good point, but people still can learn how to make them again. That knowledge is not lost. It's just kept from us. If we can get that knowledge released, then people can learn how to craft them once again. But I mean, that is a good point. You brought up a really good point, brother.
I am way behind on comments because I started talking way too much. There's William.
William
Nighthawk. I see it. He says they can't bring back the bells because they were made by master craftsmen, none left with the knowledge and frequency knowledge. Well, what? Well, you know what? Maybe somebody needs to do some microdosing and tap into those elves that would know. Okay. Somebody needs to get some. I mean, there is, I was watching something. There was a man that he had bells like that, and I don't know. I don't know enough about it. Okay, I do know that my family owned a bell, a beautiful brass bell, and it was a big one, and it went on the front of this old car my grandfather owned. My grandfather owned it actually, and somebody came into our property and stole it this past year. Stole it. And I'm sure they just used it to go, throw it and scrap it for metal. But that was a real bell, a real antique bell, like a big one. And and it was on the front. It was the car we used to ride driving in the parade every year. Dress up like clowns. Speaking of clowns, I think Caleb had mentioned something about clowns and the Nephilim a while ago. And I would dress up like a clown when I was a kid. Real Stephen King stuff. Okay. That's what it was like. But anyways, I think there's a lot of solutions to a better future, and bells are definitely part of that solution. And it's just coming back and using old technology. Let's just call that, I don't know if you want to call that technology, but old tech, Antiquitech, is that what you call it? Antiquitech, to make the world a better place today. And so hopefully there are people that know how to make those. I hope, William, I hope they do know how to make these bells.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get back to that point. I answered Damie already. She had a question, but yes, they melted them down. Let me think, that was Kent. Does anyone listen to those frequency channels when you sleep? I do, Kent. And what sadly is like, I won't even hear my alarm because I'm so deep in sleep. I like to listen to healing frequencies when I sleep. And the sad thing is when I do that, I'll have an episode like I did this morning where I was late to William's show because I'd overslept. I didn't hear my alarm because my body was in such deep rest that it tuned out everything else.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I would love to have a deep sleep by some bells. I mean, you can. I oftentimes hear the church bells in town, and it is just, it's recording. You can tell it's a recording, and it's not doing what it was meant to do there. Okay, I'm sure at one point, these are old churches. I'm sure they had real bells out there, but with a lot of this healing stuff that we had in the past, it has been replaced with the bad version, okay, with the corrupted versions, let's just say. And it's it's not for the betterment of humanity at all. So Bigfoot says, don't do Hell's Bells. Isn't that like AC/DC or something? Yeah,
that's a great song.
Hell's Bells. Well, I remember seeing something where I was doing some research on the bells a while back, and it seemed as though their bells were confiscated during the war. One of the wars, the wars are always used as an excuse to go through and change everything, right? To take things away, to rearrange stuff.
Huge moneymaker.
Yeah, huge. But I think the bells were confiscated. They were told that they were needed to be used for brass for the bullets, right? And for weapons. But now, did they actually use it for that? I don't know, because I think a lot of the bells were broken and they were buried. And you said they were melted, right?
Some of them, I've heard, some of them were melted down. A lot of them were melted down. But I do recall hearing or reading an instance where they actually discovered a large cache that was busted up and buried. But most of them were melted down.
They had to bust them up, right? Isn't that horrible? They had to bust them up. Can't have anything nice. That's all. We can't have nice things.
So Kent. Oh, I'm glad you said that. Rolling thunder and pouring rain. I'm sure many of you in the chat has done this. Think about how calming and relaxing listening to the rolling thunder and the rain. I love to sit out on my front porch during, one of them rains like that, because the frequency from those is very soothing. It can really soothe. Now, when they get into that very destructive stage of their power, you can feel that too. But I'm talking about just a regular plain Jane thunderstorm with rain. Think about how calming that is. So Another frequency deal right there.
It's very calming. I love being in a storm. And my dad used to live in a house that had a tin roof too.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if you get a tin roof and a thunderstorm, you are good to
Yeah.
go. You might never wake up if you go to sleep to
Yeah.
that. It is so nice. It's really calming and just helps you go to sleep. And so actually, William has a really interesting comment. He says 1150 hertz is a demonic destroying frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Take note, everybody. Okay, write that down. Take note. 1150 hertz is a demonic destroying frequency. Okay. So, oh gosh, and there's my friend Angie. Angie's in the chat. What's up, lady? So many arches and cities used to have bells.
Yep.
Where did the bells go? I'm just tuning in. Do you mean
They
to
were
say
melted
that?
down.
Tuning?
Yeah, they were melted down,
Yeah.
Angie. And most of them melted down. Some of them were broken up and buried. I believe they were buried in a desert. I can't remember. But I remember it was either reading something or seen something. They discovered them.
Oh my gosh. Dell says, I'm a machinist, and I can definitely tell you how surprising it is to hear well finished plate of metal vibrate like a tuning fork. They all have
Yep.
their sound.
Yep.
Wow. We as humans are like tuning forks. If I hadn't already mentioned this a million times, we are like tuning forks. And so that's why it's
Mm-hmm.
important for all of us, just like Chiro Sounds, Miss Jane in the chat says, keep your vibrations high. A lot of people in the chat have said that even tonight. It's important for us to keep our vibrational frequency, our energies at a high pitch, a high level, okay, to kind of ward off bad things like bad entities and just like William Nighthawk was saying that was it 1150 was that the hertz, it wards off the demonic forces just like the bells. We also as humans carry a frequency, and the higher our frequency, the less likely anything negative and bad will be sticking to us. Okay, things will bounce off of you just like they bounce off those bells. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it's important for us to not live in fear. Fear is a low frequency, a very low vibration. You know what the opposite of fear is? Love. Okay. What
Mm-hmm.
comes to frequencies. So live in love, y'all. Do something you love. Make yourselves happy. That's advice from the Cryptid Huntress. Do things that make you happy. I like talking about weaponized dolphins. That's what makes me happy. Okay. And the bells and hanging out with Eric. This is too fun. We do have really great conversations and really
Oh, we
fun
do.
chats. This chat has been off the chain tonight. Everybody is just amazing. And Nelicious, what's up? She says people that make gongs and cymbals have the knowledge to make bells.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah,
gotta
if you
be.
got the right, it's all about the right frequency. Every bit of it. If you have the correct frequency, which is surprising enough, what tuning forks are for is to make sure you have a right frequency, because you can tap that and tap your metal. Because I remember I knew that from metalworking back in high school or middle school. I think it was middle school we was doing that. Then you could tap that tuning fork and you tap that piece of metal, and if the frequency were the same, you had the same density. So,
Have you, Eric, have you ever been in the room with people that have singing bowls? Those like crystal bowls, they tap it and then they do the little thing around it and it puts off that frequency. It's called a sound bath. And it is like it washes away all the bad energy when you go into a sound. If you guys ever get a chance to go do a sound bath, go do it. Don't take your clothes off. It's not that kind of a bath. Okay. You go, you can lay down and just relax or sit down. Most people lay down on like a yoga mat or something, and just let the sounds heal you. Okay, so yeah, let the sounds heal you. And going back to the dolphins, it's they let off a very healing frequency too, and I think they'd be able to heal us. Maybe they're being suppressed from humans so that we can't get healing energy from them and their healing tones.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
so.
I
That's
mean,
why we got all these rules.
it's a good point. I mean, this is something we definitely going to have to get back into again. We really are going to have to get back into this again. Because this is a topic that we can go. God, dang it, that didn't work either. That we can just keep going on and on and on and on about. It's just amazing.
It is. It is. Well, this has been a great show tonight, and I really do appreciate you coming on and hanging out with me tonight, Eric. I know you got a lot of stuff you got going on right now, so I'm not gonna keep you all night. It's already well past midnight where I live.
I ain't got
And
that
I know
detail tomorrow morning. I'm just working on the book.
you're just working on a book. You're always working on your books. Your books are awesome. I'm so excited that you took the time out tonight to come and hop on with us and to hang out. C. Duke says, I have antique bells on all 3 outside doors. Yeah, a lot of people have a lot of bells.
Yep.
You know, Kent says they buried a bunch of them bells. Yeah, they did. Let's go dig them up. Let's go find them. Get some of those, what is that, like sonar detectors? They go out. I love watching those treasure hunting shows. We got some treasure hunters that are in the chat sometimes. It's like treasure recovery teams and people. Imagine, I wonder how many bells have been found. That's the question. Where did they hide all the bells? Do you know? Does anybody know?
They were buried. I mean, there was a large cache found. I need to, if I could find it, I'll try to send that to you. I'll have to add that. I've got such a list of stuff I got to look up. I just ain't had time. I've been busier, especially with this snow that came in. I've been busier than hiccup working 12-hour days. So I mean, it's fun.
Chicky said, yeah, Chicky had said, maybe, I think, what did you just say? Maybe I should we need to find out where the bells are. And that would be a good remote viewing target, actually, locating some bells, right? And Caleb Jade says, we are the bells now. That means exactly what I was saying. We are like tuning forks. And and so, yeah. Well, some of us are hell's bells. Caleb. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Caleb. No, we're all like tuning forks, right? And and so, yeah. Don't go knocking your head or anything, you know, trying to make sound like a bell. Okay. Some are hollow, some are not. I'm kidding. But yeah, we are like tuning forks. So just make sure you have a high vibration and live in love. Do what, you know, do what you love, y'all. And don't live in fear. And don't live in fear of dolphins coming at you with a spike on its nose. Things, you know, just go enjoy the ocean. Don't the odds of you getting unalived by a dolphin are very slim. They're not 0, but they're very slim. Okay. So don't. I used to surf, by the way. Okay. When I was in college, I used to go surfing pretty often. I went to school down in South Georgia, and especially when a storm was coming, we'd go down to Jacksonville and go ride some waves and stuff. And I literally did not. I never liked hanging my legs into the water off my surfboard. Hated it. Didn't like it. I never knew it was underneath me. Yeah. I tried to keep my legs on the surfboard at all times. Even like swimming out with my arms, I was just, you know, you don't think about it. You know, I was wild and free. All my wild and free days, I did a lot of dumb stuff. Okay, but
I used to surf in the back of a pickup or on a trailer going down the road. That was my surfing. That was redneck surfing.
You were redneck surfing, country boy surfing. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm always aware, but you know, I never let any of that stop me. I still went out and had fun and did dumb stuff, and I don't have any regrets whatsoever. And I hope you guys live life to the fullest, y'all. Get out there and have fun, and yeah, just know there's a lot of weird stuff going on. There's a lot of weird stuff that's been done, and it is what it is. It is what it is. And so, yeah, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Caleb said, what if I take my clothes off? I was talking about
I wasn't going to say that, but
oh no, in a sound bath. Well, it depends on if there's a lot of people in the room. I don't know. It depends on who you're hanging out with, I guess, Caleb. Go to the sound bath.
North Shore. Oh my God, Caleb, yes, North Shore has got huge waves.
Yeah.
Right. I know that it's North Shore is Hawaii, Oahu. So,
oh my gosh. And Nighthawk says, do you remember when the night vision goggles first came out in Vietnam? They could see demons. That is actually, I think that's like my highest watched show on my channel is the Dicyan Dye Goggle show that I did with John Vendeventer. Shout out to John. I hope John's doing okay tonight. And y'all go to relicsbooks.com and go purchase some of John's books, by the way. We love John. And Yeah, we did that show on those dicyanin dye goggles, and man, it would have been great if they had some bells to ward all those things off back then. Yeah, all you need is some goggles. But let's see if I got everybody here tonight. Yeah, we still got tons of comments. I'm still way behind in the comments. I was about to wrap the show up, but dang.
They were using that stuff in Vietnam too, but yes, they improved it a lot during the Gulf War. But yeah, they had that stuff even back in Vietnam.
Are you talking about this comment from James? Like in the first Gulf War, they tried out microwave weapons, pulsed laser weapon that ruptured the eyeball, and a plasma howitzer. Plasma howitzer. Well, ruptured the eyeballs. Man, there's good grief. There's all sorts of like frequency and sound weapons. They're like silent weapons. I had a cop car one day that like ran past me, it like rode past me really quick, and it had this like, it felt like a pulse of like energy. It was like coming off of it. It was uncomfortable. It was like you couldn't hear it, but you could feel it. And I was like, good gosh, what is this? Like what? It's like crowd control kind of stuff, I guess, right? Crowd control. God. Yeah.
Oh, Caleb, you had to bring up Oki. Yeah. Yeah, they had weather weapons in Vietnam too, which was frequencies and lasers was used to create the weather patterns in Vietnam. I mean that stuff was, man, yeah, freaking Oki, dude. Oki is another beast. Oki is it's a hell of a beast. But they used to train this Mount Fuji and Oki. And a lot of times us Marines would go to Mount Fuji to do our cold weather training. That is one place that I've been that at the exact same time, it rained, sleeted, and snowed at the exact same time. That is a cold mother. But yeah, Oki.
Okinawa, that's Japan, right?
Well, don't ever tell them that. Oh, don't tell them that. They get pissed. They are not Japanese. We're Okinawans. But yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you tell an Oki that they're Japanese, they get pissed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they don't like that. But yes, we know it as Okinawa, Japan. Yeah.
That is crazy. Wow. Okay, and maybe a couple more comments here. Bigfoot Dwarf says, look up the integration in giant rock, folks, if you're interested in sound bass. Yeah. You can actually even find local like sound baths, like healing centers and stuff. I know they've got, I have friends all over, you can do it online too. I've got friends that do sound baths online. But you can go to places. I mean, I don't know if it's like in yoga studios or wherever, but you can find places to go do a sound bath. And and it is totally worth it. It's definitely worth your time. It's very relaxing for sure. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I love it when Caleb's here and I got Eric on. And Caleb, you got to come on the show too. I sent you a message, Caleb. So you got to come on the show soon. Okay. Okay. Oh man.
It was good food though. I'll give it that. I was at Hanson. Dude, I didn't have a good time, Caleb. I was at Hanson. Come on, man.
Oh gosh, Kent, that's a great point. Kent says we need to get rid of all the baddies in the deep state so we can bring out all the hidden technologies so they cannot weaponize them. Yeah.
You'll be surprised what's going to happen very soon. It's already taking place. If you're not paying attention, it's taking place right now as we're talking. It is taking place. So don't be surprised if there's a huge change within the next month. So that's all I'm going to say.
In a month.
It's a Rumble conversation.
Yeah.
It's a Rumble conversation.
Like Rumble. We'll have to go to Rumble for that one. Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of which, Eric, you've got a show tomorrow night. I'm actually really excited about your show because we get to hear about what happened after our show last Saturday night, right?
Ooh. I can give you guys one example.
Give us a little breadcrumb of what you're going to be talking about. Oh, do you actually have a recording you're going to play right now?
Yes.
Okay, you guys, I want to set it up though, because we have a lot of people who've tuned in since we started the show over almost 2.5 hours ago. So Eric was my guest. He was my co-host last Saturday night. We talked about the super soldier dogmen and stuff, and the hybrids. And so after we got off our show, we got done with the show. Eric went outside and heard a howl on his property. He's got a big chunk of property out there in Missouri. And then he got some recordings of something else that was on his property. So he's going to be doing a show about that tomorrow evening.
Some of it was on my property and some of it was at a distance. I have my parabolic mic out. See how I got I don't have it. I've got it put up at the moment. But my parabolic mic, I have that set up where my digital recorder is attached to it and I run the cable into it so that I can record. And I have a Velcro strap that hooks around the trigger so it's constantly recording, so I don't have to hold on to it. I can set it down somewhere and record and walk away, because I get more recordings when I'm not around it versus when I'm holding it, scanning it around. So my favorite thing to do with that parabolic mic is I like to set it up. I'll set it somewhere and I'll walk away from it. I've got more evidence doing it that way with stuff than I ever have holding it in my hands. So let me turn the volume up on this. So it's probably going to get loud on my end for a second if you talk, but here is, we'll do a voice. If I can get this to play. There, come on, baby. You can do it. You can do it. Now, I've got Brother William helping me trying to decipher that language. And from what we can figure out, it sounds like it's a mixture of Paiute and Lakota.
What? That wasn't you?
No.
Shut the front door. Where was that recording device located?
I had my parabolic mic sitting on my porch facing north. That is one out of three voices that were talking. They were communicating back and forth to each other. Had two males at two different distances and a female. So,
my goodness. That was not your voice.
No. So I was worried. I'm always, if I'm recording at my house, I'm very, very cautious about noise pollution. So when I finally got the shakes calmed down enough that I can get the battery put in my parabolic mic, I put that on my front porch, came in the house, didn't have anything turned on. Yeah, I didn't have anything turned on.
Ew.
I sat in my chair and all this stuff. I've got 22 things I'm going to be playing that I captured in a 30-minute time frame. I captured a lot of stuff in a 30-minute time frame. Some of it at distance, some of them right on my porch.
Oh my God. So, that sounded like it was on your porch.
It did, but that's because I've got it turned up so you can hear it. That was actually at a distance.
Yeah. Oh, it was?
So I had to amp the sound up because it was hard to hear without headphones. So I had to put it in my program. I slowed it down at the end. That's why you heard it, because it spoke so fast it was hard to understand. So I slowed it down to half speed. That's why you heard it the second time. It's kind of sounded different. That was slowed down at half speed. So the first part sounds Paiute. The last part is what the Lakota do when they ask a question. So it sounded something like no lika ha. And you'll hear him speak, and then you'll hear another one a little further out speak next. Then you hear a hunting female, kind of close.
Oh,
that's just three of the things I captured, not counting everything else. And the one that brought tears to my eyes is, it was confirmation. But some of them is hard to hear because they're at a really, really far distance. You couldn't hear it with a naked ear. I was only able to catch it because I had the parabolic mic out.
That's fascinating. You really did capture something really fantastic there. That's awesome. Yeah. That's great. Thank you for sharing that with us tonight. Thank you so much. I mean, I was right after our show last Saturday night. So 7 days ago for sure. And Dan, we've been on the show ever since you went to bed last night. We're still up. We're still here. Okay. So thank you for being here. It is 5:24 a.m. in the UK right now. And yes, we're still partying. We're still partying from the night before.
Okay, top to the morning to you, Dan.
Top of the morning. We're about to go to bed. Now we're all going to bed
It's
over
time to go
here.
get a pint.
Go get a
God,
pint.
I miss that.
Gonna throw one
my
back.
God.
How's your shot glass doing tonight? You still got some whiskey in it for your
3/4.
buddies?
It's
Yeah.
3/4 the way full.
Yeah. Oh man,
I
that's
can't.
awesome.
I think I'll get in trouble if I showed it to you. Show it on YouTube. But yeah, it's 3/4 the way full. So it's draining down again.
Awesome. Bigfoot Dwarf. You guys go over to Bigfoot Dwarf's channel too. He's always cutting it up on the ones and twos. I didn't even know you were a DJ until recently, Bigfoot Dwarf. That's awesome. Over there on his channel. Yeah. So yeah, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Eric, especially you. Oh my gosh. This show is just like way, I knew it was going to be cool, but it was like way cooler than I was even expecting. We usually have a great time on these Saturday night shows. We have a great time on all of our shows all the time.
So
yeah, we do. Well, tell everybody what you got going on and where they can find you. Tell them about your YouTube, your Rumble, your books, where they can find your books, whatever you feel like.
So, I'll be having a show tomorrow morning with William Nighthawk. So if you go to YouTube, go to William Nighthawk 6630 and look us up. And then I'll have my regular show. Originally, I was going to do it on Gugwee. Ryan Paul Tremblay and I was going to do it on the Gugwee. But after what I captured last week, we are now going to go over all the audio evidence that I captured in a 30-minute time frame. And I'll get into a deeper I just brain farted. I'll go into more detail of why what happened to me that night, why it shook me up, and what led to me putting the parabolic mic out. That's tomorrow night. My books, you can find them. I just fixed the art cover to my audio for the Vangerian Guard Book 1, House of Battle, which is my historical sci-fi that took place there in World War II, which is a prequel to my saga of Grimson's. So here shortly, 5 out of my 6 books will be on audio. Currently, my Viking Age Secrets of Mercia, the gentleman who was doing that was sadly caught up in the California fires. So that's on a delay right now. So that won't be out on audio, which I told him I understood. I wasn't going to rush him on that. I get it. So I've got that going on. I'm halfway done, a little over halfway done with my next. This one is not a historical cryptid horror. This is a straight cryptid horror. And this is called Beast of the Ozarks, which takes place here in Missouri, First Kill. And Griff talked me into starting something on my Patreon at the Bizarre and the Unknown on Patreon, which is called Yar Readers. So if you're interested in reading my books before they're published, giving me good feedback on what you think of the storyline of the book, that is an option. Then I have the Aesir tier, which is $3 a month, and you'll get full access to my unedited videos and audios of my investigations. And you'll get a look at what my books look like before they go through final editing. And that's available on the Aesir tier. It is Norse-based because, well, I mean, that's just who I am. So, but I have 6 books published now. I'm hoping by the end of the month I'll have this Beast of the Ozarks done. I need to get my button gear and get on Rumble and start doing some of these lives. A lot of stuff that I talk about is political. I do on Rumble because I don't get censored on Rumble. So that's why I'm very picky about what I say on here. I've just been extremely busy with work and the weather, so I've not been able to get on Rumble. So I'm hoping things will slow down and I can start doing Rumble shows again here soon. So that stuff will be available on there as well.
You're a Viking. You're just a Viking over there, and that's what
I am a Marine.
You're right. He's a Viking. And I wouldn't mess with you. I wouldn't try to piss you off. I wouldn't. I'm glad we're friends. I'm
I
glad. I'm
do have to
glad you're my
apologize.
friend.
I do have to
You do it.
apologize about last weekend because I got to talking and when I got in that mindset, I started feeling it. That's why I had to stop because I was like, "Ooh, calm down, calm down, calm down."
Why
You
are you
start feeling that.
apologizing?
It's because
I
I
think
don't.
it's
I
I think it's
try not to
great.
bring that out. I
Oh,
try not to bring that out.
it's fine.
So,
It's
but
fine.
when you get to talking
Listen,
about
I'm
it
a
like
war
I
woman.
did,
I'm cool with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool, man. Because you just when you start getting that feeling, and you're just like, "Ooh, gotta calm down, gotta calm down."
Yeah. Caleb says, "Oorah."
Hoorah.
Over there. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Sip
That's because
fine,
you
baby.
had Caleb in here. You guys are like y'all are bouncing off your energies off each other. And
Yeah.
yeah, you guys I like it. I like it. It's fun. Man, we do have a good time here. And you guys please go and support Eric, author E.D. Testerman. He's E.D. Testerman on his books. And you guys go support his page. Is your Patreon author E.D. Testerman? Is that how people find it?
It's the bizarre and the unknown.
The Bizarre and Unknown. Okay.
Give me a second, and I'll copy it and paste it in your chat
Yeah,
here.
put it in the chat. That'd be wonderful. Yeah. And you said tomorrow morning you and William are doing another show Sunday morning?
Yes, yeah,
Okay, great.
yes. There's been some recent current events that's happened on a military base, and we're going to be kind of talking about that.
Oh, well, you guys don't want to miss that. It's a perfect way to get up and have your coffee with Eric and William. William Nighthawk. William's in the chat tonight. And so I will be there. I caught the tail end. I slept late today. Thank goodness. It felt so good to sleep late. And I caught the tail end, but I went back and watched it. And it's always great. I learn a lot from those shows that you guys do. So it's wonderful. All right. So everybody, please go to the Bizarre and the Unknown on YouTube and subscribe over there and on Rumble as well. Rumble's where you get the uncensored version, right?
Yeah.
The uncensored, the raw and uncut version of E.D. Testerman over there on Rumble. So yeah. And yeah, put the link in there. Okay,
I'm
awesome.
trying to put that link in, and it keeps fighting me on that. So I'm going to have to bring up YouTube.
I mean, I can do it. If you'll send it to me, we can put it in there. I need to. If you're not a moderator, I need to make you one, so you can put your links in there.
I've never been a moderator. I'm a moderator.
You haven't? Well, you're going to be a moderator after tonight. Okay, I'm going to make you a moderator. I don't know how to do it right now. Let's see if I can do it.
Right.
I don't think I can do it from here.
Let's see.
Okay.
Let me know if that pops up on the screen. I just got onto YouTube, so I'm hoping that popped up on the screen.
Okay. Well, if it didn't, we'll get it down there. We're going to put it down in the description in the comments after the show. If it doesn't pop up right now, and then Eric will be one of my new moderators after tonight. All right. Well, everybody, thank y'all so much for being here tonight. This has been a really wonderful Saturday night and a great show. And I hope that you guys all learned something. I definitely learned a whole lot tonight. And yeah, just pay attention to the dolphins. Pay attention to all the dolphins out there. What they have to teach us, like Eric said, pay attention to all the animals. All the animals have something to teach us as well. We just have to listen and do that telepathy. Telepathy, y'all. That's our word of the night. Telepathy. And so yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed the show. And please come back and see me. I will be back on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern on I guess the Cryptid Huntress Live. I don't have a name for it. Just come back and see me. We'll have another fun show on Monday. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Everybody, please stay safe out there. And y'all know we are living in weird times. We've got dolphins with knives on their heads and sharknadoes and God knows what all out there. And but don't live in fear. Just be aware. We got the Eric. Oh my gosh. Eric's got a knife on his hat, on his forehead. For anybody who can't see it. That is so funny. All right. Well, do you got any final thoughts, Eric, before we go?
There we go. Just sent it to you. Man, just keep an open mind about things. Be cautious. Pay attention to our animal brothers and sisters, man, because I'm serious. They do try to deliver messages to you. And always remember, thank them for visiting you, and ask them to share you if they have a message to share it to you in a dream in a language that you understand. animals communicate with us, and we're just sadly we've grown deaf to that. But they do that. So keep that in mind. Just be mindful out there. And I'm not saying stay out of the woods or the oceans. I love it. I still do it. I mean, it is when Marines get yeah. We can't do some of the stuff what we do when we get together because we're on live right now. But I'll have to take a snort for you, my brother, whenever I get off the air.
Oh my gosh!
But just keeping that in mind. Pay attention to frequencies. Pay your emotions. Your body has frequencies. Pay attention to that. Feed the right wolf. Don't you got a white wolf and a black wolf within you. Feed the white more than you feed the black. Frequency, folk. Very, very important frequencies.
Yeah, we're tuning forks. Caleb says we are the bells. Okay, so we are the bells. Live your life like you know that things are going. You're setting off a frequency. Now, is it going to be those bad megahertz, or is it going to be the good ones? Okay, we need to be good ones. Strive to be the good ones, and go ring your bell around the world. Shine your light, y'all. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful night, and please stay safe out there. I will see you guys back here on Monday. Thank you again, Eric, for being here.
Thank you.
And you guys are awesome. Yes, I want to thank everybody for the channel memberships that you guys gave out tonight, and for all the super stickers. It means the world to me. I appreciate each and every single one of y'all, and I hope I didn't miss anybody on those. All right, I will see you guys on Monday. All right, see you, Eric.